Supporters high up away towards our left. It is just green and white wherever you look. Forza Sporting is one of the scarves that I can read. And this is the atmosphere that you're soaking in live here in Lisbon on 5 Live. And the referee, amidst that, has actually blown his whistle as they continue to stand up in front of us. And at the moment, through the arms that have been held aloft of the Sporting supporters, it's hard to actually see the match that is unfolding as Arsenal lift the ball towards the far side, and it's been cleared away as the Sporting supporters continue to serenade themselves here in the Jose Alvalade Stadium. But they might stop now because Sporting win the ball over on that far side, up towards Gyökeres. They're certainly doing it their way.
They are. This is unbelievable. It's brilliant to be here and witness this, but it's not great for viewing, I've got to be completely honest with you. But yeah, a bright start there for Arsenal.
The Sporting have given the ball away to Martinelli, who comes forward. Martinelli in towards the penalty area, cuts the ball across, and Diomande is there to clear. Calafiori though hits it, and he slashed it a little bit, 25 yards out from goal. That was a nice little ditty, a Portuguese version of My Way.
Very enjoyable. I think you've sang it in that, and sounding a bit like that before. But that was a good start from Arsenal. I think the quick throw-in, quick thought from Odegaard.
Oh, that was a mistake. Inacio, they took the goal kick short. He passed the ball back to Israel, the keeper, the Uruguayan goalkeeper. He wasn't ready for it, and they got away with it in the end because Havertz was the one who was just hovering and looking to try and take advantage of that, as Inacio now hits a long diagonal ball away from Gyökeres, and it won't be kept in play on that far side by Giovanni Quenda.
Now that's 3 moments now, inside the opening minute or so, minute 40 now of the game. As I said, Odegaard sharp, getting in behind the defence, tried to lift one inside the 6-yard box that was just about defended. Then good bit of play by Martinelli down the left-hand side, cut it across it. I thought Kai Havertz was a bit flat-footed, if I'm being honest. I thought it could have potentially been on his toes a bit more. That was a half opportunity, and then the goalkeeper nearly making a howler.
Norwich City have got a second goal at Carrow Road in the Championship. They lead Plymouth by 2-0. They had gone 7 without a win, had Norwich. Diomande at the back, passes the ball to Inacio on this near side. It is worth stating, however, you look at the results and you think, oh, that's eye-catching, beating Manchester City by 4-1. City actually had the better of that opening half hour. They did take the lead inside after 4 minutes through Phil Foden. But then Gyökeres with an equaliser, and then there was a couple of penalties that he got as part of that hat-trick. I mean, his record since he arrived from Coventry for 20 million euros, it was a club record fee, 68 appearances and 67 goals. But then you try and balance that with the strength of the Portuguese league. As Havertz has gone down off the ball there in an incident with Diomande. The referee is calling the two of them towards him, and a yellow card has been shown to the Sporting central defender.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure exactly whether the ball was in play, where Kai Havertz was. He clearly felt there was contact being made, and now the captain is having to run over to Diomande. He's trying to complain to the assistant referee just after he's received the yellow card. Clearly must have been contact, maybe like an elbow or something into the back of Kai Havertz.
Tell you what, though, he's put himself under pressure now, picking up such an early yellow 4 minutes in, as Saka comes forward on this near side to right. Arsenal in their red and white shirts playing from left to right as we look. In fact, Hjulmand, the captain of Sporting, had to have a word with the central defender because he was so irate. He was venting his anger in the direction of the assistant referee, and Marciniak, the referee, went across towards him. He could easily have picked up a second yellow card for dissent.
It was good captaincy, that. I mean, as everything was going on, he was talking to the referee, and in the distance he could see that his centre-half had lost his head momentarily, and he sprinted over there and not only got in the way, physically dragged him away from the assistant, because that could have been 2 yellow cards in quick succession.
Wigan lead Northampton 2-0, incidentally, in League One. Here is Thomas Partey in the centre circle. Timber comes onto the ball on this near side to right, finds Saka, level the penalty area. Araujo holds him up. Saka, though, passes the ball inside. runs through to Partey, to Ødegaard, good control, look towards Saka, goes to ground. Ødegaard wins the ball back. Diomande will clear for Sporting on the edge of his own penalty area. Saliba quite comfortably gets in front of Gyökeres, and then Havertz will head the ball out to Ødegaard, who was outstanding against Nottingham Forest at the weekend, and now he plays a weighted ball in towards Saka, makes the run in behind. Araujo and Diomande are there. Saka has actually stayed down. Arsenal winning the ball well, and they've actually settled very, very quickly here in this game in Lisbon, live on 5 Live. Saka, though, is still down in the penalty area.
Yeah, it's been an impressive start by Arsenal, and it was a clever little ball from Martin Ødegaard outside of his left foot, bent it into the penalty area, Saka to run onto, and they've been quite physical with him so far. Araujo especially has been all over him. Could have potentially got a couple of free kicks so far, but certainly a battle to keep an eye on.
He's back on his feet now, and he's here up against Araujo. Infield to Ødegaard, turns, threads it back through to Saka, tries to cut in onto his left foot inside the right side of the penalty area. Morita is there, though, the Japanese international, but he's overrun the ball, and it goes out for a throw. This has been a very encouraging start for Arsenal and Mikel Arteta's side, given the fact that they are winless in their last 5 away matches in the Champions League. Timber gives it back to Ødegaard, lifts it back towards the right back. Morita comes across, heads it down, and then slices his clearance out for a throw. As watching on in his white training jacket is Thiago Teixeira, the assistant for João Pereira, but is the man listed as the head coach tonight for those reasons that Tom was explaining ahead of the game with Kelly, because Pereira hasn't completed his pro licence. Teixeira actually completed his course in Scotland. Here is Ødegaard. Rice passes the ball to Timber. Well worked. Inviting ball in, and Arsenal prosper. Martinelli was the one who was arriving, and Arsenal's good start has been rewarded by a goal. It was such an inviting cross from the right-hand side, and Martinelli snaffled up a chance. And Arsenal, who had gone 4 games without a goal in the Champions League on their travels, have scored early, 1-0.
Outstanding start from Arsenal, but brilliant move as well. They've started brilliantly, certainly down the right-hand side of the field. Ødegaard's drifted out towards Saka. Timber has been very adventurous down the right-hand side, and they've just kept attacks alive. They've found good spaces. Timber gets in behind from a really clever play, and you're just saying, go on, just feed it into that area, roughly along the 6-yard line, and he does. Kai Havertz thinks he's about to score, but he gets pulled back by Diomande. But thankfully for Arsenal, and probably for Diomande as well, Martinelli was right behind him just to tap the ball in, and Arsenal deserve this. It's been a brilliant start.
They have had a check for VAR, but the goal will stand, and Arsenal are leading by a goal to 0, and it's the travelling support you might be able to hear in the distance here live on BBC Radio 5 Live. Martinelli giving Arsenal the perfect start. It is worth pointing out that Manchester City, as we had already mentioned, did score early here, but Sporting have been rocked back there. But a very good start by Arsenal. They've just taken control, they've seized the initiative right from the word go. Yeah,
but they've been very good in possession, but it's out of possession where they've probably been even better. Sporting have took the ball at the back on numerous occasions, now certainly again just from kick-off, and they're trying to thread the ball through lines, and Arsenal's setup has been outstanding. They've cut off every pass that's been tried to play forward through the lines. They've not allowed Sporting to get any kind of passing going yet.
Hjulmand, the captain, the Danish international, scored against England in the Euros with his blonde hair. Morita will pass the ball back. This is Inacio, who was such a key defender when Ruben Amorim, now the Manchester United manager, of course, was in charge and had such a successful time during his spell as Sporting boss. As Young Boys 0, Atalanta 1 is the latest score in the Champions League, and Bayer Leverkusen are leading Salzburg by a goal to 0 also. But Arsenal are 1-0 up. They work it out towards that far side, the right. Trincao will run forward, then just stops midway through the Arsenal half. On that far side, the right, back towards Trincao. St. Justa, the central defender, finds Diomande. And now the ball is with Inacio. Marcus Edwards, diminutive figure. Might remember from his time at Tottenham, although his game time was limited just to 15 minutes in a League Cup tie at Gillingham at Priestfield. some time ago, and a brief spell at Norwich City as well. Morita lays it off, Hjulmand forward. Gyökeres looking to turn with his back to goal. Lays it out well, good hold-up play. Early ball comes in from the left-hand side by Araujo. And that was their first sign of any sort of a threat 9 minutes in. They've kept the ball alive on that far side. Hjulmand, Sporting now coming into the game as they trail by 1-0. And every outfield player is in the half away towards our left-hand side. But Arsenal have retreated. And then the move breaks down. So, what about Manchester City Feyenoord? Conor McNamara.
Manchester City 0, Feyenoord 0. City for the first big chance of the evening. Erling Haaland's header was heading for the bottom corner. The goalkeeper Timon Vellenruter got down very well to make a save. Manchester City 0, Feyenoord 0. 10 minutes played.
Gwenda, right-hand side, plays it back. By Leverkusen, incidentally, they've got a second goal at home to Salzburg, now 2-0. Edwards comes away from the penalty area. Morita, he goes square. Man over on that far side, the right, it will reach. Gwenda looks for the cross, then he waits, and he's closed down by the goal scorer Martinelli. And Barcelona are leading Brest by 1-0 as well, also in the Champions League. What's happening at Bramall Lane, Chris Coles?
Sheffield United are about to go 2-0 up, and they have taken really nicely. Tyrese Campbell rounds the goalkeeper, slots into the back of the net to add to Callum O'Hare's opener. Sheffield United 2, Oxford 0.
The goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live. You might well be listening on the BBC Sounds app as well. Leyton Orient 0, Huddersfield Town 1 is the latest score in League One. Arsenal lead by 1-0. Manchester City against Feyenoord remains goalless. It's the first of 3 successive nights of European action on BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. Liverpool, Real Madrid tomorrow, John Murray and Chris Sutton. Tottenham against AS Roma in the Europa League on Thursday night. Alistair Bruce-Ball and Paul Robinson. Ødegaard on this near side, the right. Plays it forward, Rice makes that run ahead of him. He's got space to run into now as Declan Rice out towards Saka, plays the ball back towards Rice, who's continued his run into the penalty area, but it's marshalled out safely for a goal kick by Sporting.
Yeah, this is a really good tactical battle. I mean, it's been a good response from Sporting. They're nearly creating a chance at the opposite end, but both teams look like they've worked on the opposition's weakness. Both teams are playing different systems, and they're both trying to make sure that their system wins by the way they're closing down and the way they're taking possession in the weak areas of their opposite numbers. It's really good. You've got Declan Rice making runs into the number 10 role. You've got Ødegaard drifting into wide areas just to try and play where Sporting are weak. And Sporting are doing similar with Trincao and Edwards to try and find spaces for Arsenal. It's been really interesting.
The voice of Leon Osman on BBC Radio 5 Live. Bristol Rovers 0, Blackpool 1 is the latest score in League One. On that far side for Sporting is Gwenda, only a youngster. In fact, Sporting's youngest ever goal scorer, 17-year-old forward. Hjulmand threads a diagonal ball forward to Edwards. Thought Saka had got the ball, but Marciniak, the Polish referee, thinks otherwise and will give a free kick to Sporting. Left of the centre, midway through the Arsenal half.
Yeah, you were right though. He only did get the ball. It shouldn't have been a foul, but a bit fussy there, the referee. He was close. I'll give him his due. He was right next to the incident. I think he's made Arsenal defend one they shouldn't need to.
Sporting have got a history and a very good habit of scoring. They've scored in all 19 games this season. The last time they actually failed to score was in January. So they've gone 41 games when they last failed to score against Braga in a Portuguese League Cup tie semi-final, where they lost by just a slender goal. However, when Arsenal have scored first, they haven't lost in their last 29 games. Fulham, almost a year ago. And that's a record that Mikel Arteta will hope can continue here as they lead 1-0. David Raya, all in yellow, to take the free kick for Arsenal out of his penalty area on that far side. The Arsenal left, he hits it long downfield. Havertz will head the ball infield. Hjulmand touches the ball then to Ødegaard. Look to Saka, gets it back to Ødegaard. Ødegaard now will pass the ball out to the right corner of the area for Timber. Played in that delightful low cross that Arsenal scored from. Here is Ødegaard, chips the ball forward, just too far away of a stooping Martinelli and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, but he's the player that when he gets the ball, everybody around him just comes alive. There's runs being made, there's people dropping into certain positions. They know he's got the quality to be able to find them.
They're playing out from the back as a number of flares have been lit in the Sporting end, where it says A14, the Lions' heart, that's where their ultras must be housed, away towards our right-hand side. There must be a dozen flares that are burning brightly as we look down from our lofty position here at the back of the main stand, watching Sporting build with Hjulmand just forward of the centre circle. St. Justa, Dutch defender, out towards that far side. Sporting have slowed it down. Manchester City against Feyenoord. Conor McNamara.
Still City 0, Feyenoord 0. Another Manchester City chance. Jack Grealish, who's had a good opening quarter hour of the game, struck in a right-footed volley that was going on target, but it hit the body of his teammate Phil Foden and ricocheted out for a goal kick. Manchester City 0, Feyenoord 0.
Morita, Japanese international, chips the ball out towards Quenda, takes it on his chest, comes on the infield, 25 yards out from goal. It's a left-footed curling ball. Timber, though, good defending. He was aware that Araujo was making the run behind him, but it was watchful defending, and he flicks it behind for a corner.
Yeah, there was a moment when he wondered, could he leave this? But he realised, just a quick little look over his shoulder, that he knew that he had to go and defend it. He couldn't leave it. Araujo behind him got into a great advanced position. Got great work rate, the wing-backs of this Sporting team.
Araujo certainly impressed against Manchester City down the left-hand side. He's the one who's going to take the corner kick. It's left-footed, it's an outswinger. Trying to get on the end of it there was Inacio. He's saying he wants another corner kick, and he gets it as well off the Polish referee, as there's not many empty green seats behind that goal. There is a little bit of a moat that runs around this stadium as well, but it's tight and it's still compact, even though it's this ball-like arena that holds just over 50,000. In comes the corner from the left-hand side. Martinelli's gone down with an injury as he tried to hook that ball clear. Saka tries to burst away. He then backheels the ball towards Ødegaard. They had such a great understanding against Nottingham Forest, but Morita, the hard-working Japanese international midfielder, is back, and he tidies the ball back towards his goalkeeper, and Martinelli's back on his feet and takes up his position on that far side, the left. Yeah,
they could have done with that being just the other way around, with Saka bursting through onto an Ødegaard pass, and Ødegaard just struggling to get away from Morita there. Well, there was an opportunity. Sporting go really advanced at corner kicks, opportunities on counter-attacks.
Here is Partey getting away from Edwards. The referee has played the advantage for Arsenal. Ødegaard on the halfway line. Declan Rice wants Timber to try and switch it, because Calafiore, Rice and Martinelli were all trying to build an attack on that far side, the left, but instead they go forward. Timber is about 6 yards over the halfway line, and now is Ødegaard, just backheels the ball away from Edwards. Thomas Partey then shows his strength, holding off Edwards. Ødegaard passes it to Havertz. Now Saka just in from the touchline, and Arsenal passing the ball around sharper. There's a nice tempo to their play.
There is, and again, I feel like you keep mentioning the same player, but it's generally Martin Ødegaard that's dictating the tempo of the passes. I thought maybe he'd switch it, but no, he wants to keep the ball close to him and then, maybe get it back and switch the play as it happens.
Gyökeres turns just short of the halfway line for Sporting, who trail by 1-0. Quenda passes the ball in field. Dark-haired figure of Trincao able to turn. Morita, nice tight control with his right foot, then with that right foot out towards Araujo, but it was a high ball. He was backpedaling, conscious that the touchline was fast approaching, and he headed the ball and kept it in play. He presented it back towards Arsenal, and Saka is now trying to exploit that gap of Araujo, running forward. Inacio is the one who, with the help of Morita, has come across, and it goes out for an Arsenal throw. But Arsenal do look very, very strong down the right-hand side.
Yeah, again, because, Bukayo Saka fancies himself up against any opponent at the moment, and Araujo's trying to be really tight with him. And I think at some point in the very near future, Saka will be able to just spin away from him, and he's coming that tight.
Ødegaard feeds it to the feet of Calafiore, to the goal scorer Martinelli, left-hand side of the penalty area. Martinelli looks for the cross, but it's blocked and it goes behind for a corner kick. Calafiore just like to go into that inverted role as Arsenal are attacking the end, where now all of a sudden there's like a mist because of the smoke that has drifted and has just loitered, and it's lingering in that end away towards our right from those dozen flares. As I wouldn't say that Declan Rice is, well, he is, he's sauntering, he's taking his time. It's like he's off for a lazy walk in the Algarve.
They're very good at this, Arsenal. Sometimes get criticised for it, for the free kick in in the Arsenal half about 5 minutes ago. Three different people attempted to take it before they eventually do. Even now, Declan Rice taking as long as he can over this set piece, still not ready to take it.
He's annoyed the Sporting supporters as he takes the corner kick, and it's headed out by Inacio at the near side of that 6-yard box. But it was like he was off for a stroll, wasn't it? Down in Villamora, as in comes the cross from the left-hand side. Saka tried to meet it. Partey meets it, hits it first time. Good 30 yards out, but it was straight at the goalkeeper and saved by Francisco in Israel.
Yeah, but those little battles that are happening at the edge of the penalty area, when the ball is looping away, when there's a duel, Arsenal are winning the majority of them at the moment, and it's helping to sustain any attacks.
Not necessarily beach weather, but when you hear that it's been horrible back home, the sight of blue sky today and 17 degrees, and just the fact that the sun was shining
it's really nice.
Was certainly very refreshing. Not that we're wanting to rub it in at all, as Arsenal are leading by a goal to nil. Mind you, for some members of the Five Live team that have travelled out here to Lisbon, it's been a day of work and notes, studiously studying, doing all the research.
We have had a tough day, Ian,
yeah.
You're right.
Whilst those who haven't had to do that have been taking in some of the sights. No other goals elsewhere, up towards Saka. Saka prods it goalwards and it's touched in on the goal line by Havertz. And Arsenal have walked in the second with ease. Prized open the Sporting defence, and it was a tap-in for Kai Havertz as they now increase their lead. Sporting 0, Arsenal 2.
Oh, you just hope he's onside, because he was so free in the middle of that penalty area. But I just spoke moments ago that Araujo is so tight on Bukayo Saka. He's too intelligent, he's too clever of a player, that if you keep marking him tight, he'll eventually just be able to get behind you and break through the lines. It's brilliant from the player you'd expect it to be. Saka, once he's in there, it's a beautiful ball from Thomas Partey, actually, that leaves it in behind that left side of the defence for Sporting. Saka just spins in, and as that ball bounces, he just sees the keeper coming out, passes it through his legs across that 6-yard line again, well, inside the 6-yard box, and Kai Havertz there this time to tap it in. Just easy for Arsenal, brilliant play.
And as you say, he was onside as well. The match is already restarted. There was no VAR check. That wasn't necessary because Saka's well-timed run. And we talked about the strength down this right-hand side, and Kai Havertz midway through the first half, and Arsenal now have a cushion. And it's been a very good start by Arsenal. Hull City 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1 is the latest score in the Championship. Tranmere 0, Wimbledon 1. And Sporting, on this long unbeaten record, all of a sudden find themselves 2 down. Gyökeres plays it forward behind Araujo, who's continued that run. Timber, though, has gone with him. Left-hand side of the penalty area, back towards Inacio. Actually gone 50 games here at home when they last failed to score a Champions League game over 2 years ago against Marseille. They lost 2-0 that night. They're 2-0 down now. And David Raya, so far, hasn't had anything to do in these opening 23 minutes. Plymouth have got a goal back at Carrow Road. Norwich City 2, Plymouth Argyle 1. Diamande. Now it's with Inacio. But it's a slow pace by Sporting. They're almost coming to a standstill. Well,
if you look at the way Arsenal are set up, there's no passing lanes for Sporting to play through. So that back three, it keeps getting the ball. And Arsenal's front, probably 4 or 5 the way they're working, are trying to stop them initially going wide. They're forcing them to play through the middle, and then they're blocking the passing lanes. What Arsenal don't want to do is allow Sporting to go into the wide areas where they've got the overload, and so far they've been very good at stopping that.
Here is Gabriel Calafiore to Partey. Partey will now pass the ball to Timber. Timber midway through his own half. Saliba, his 100th appearance for Arsenal incidentally tonight as Calafiore, but they are looking extremely confident, aren't they, in possession?
Yeah, comfortable. I mean, Calafiore, as he tends to do, has gone roaming into midfield. He's alongside, well, he's even past Declan Rice at the moment. Arsenal have set up in the back three, really spreading the field of play. Odegaard coming out to the right, Saka and Martinelli really exposed, and both they've got their heels on the touchline on both sides of the pitch. They're really trying to make the pitch as big as possible to play through, and they're playing in the positions that Sporting are weak with the way they've got their side set up.
We've had it flares at one end of the field, that was to our right. Now to the left, we've got white and green smoke bombs that have been let off, and now in fact fireworks are being let off as well. So David Raya, they're going behind his goal. That'll get them into trouble with UEFA, that is for sure. Raya's actually out of his penalty area at the minute. Those firecrackers are actually exploding over that penalty area away towards our left-hand side. It would certainly be a distraction if Sporting would come forward, which is exactly what they are doing now with Gyökeres. 8:25, BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. And Sporting with Gyökeres looking to try and deliver the cross from the right-hand side, but again, strong defending by Gabriel, who shows his strength and sees it out for a goal kick.
Yeah, brilliant defending. He loves those 1v1 situations, Gabriel, where you try and out-muscle him, out-strength him, take him into certain areas of the field, and he won that battle. But going back to the fireworks, for a moment I thought the referee might stop the game there. He looked at the end, he could see it was right above the penalty area where David Raya was stood, where they were going off the fireworks. He put the whistle to his mouth for a moment and then just waited to see where the attack built up to.
Here is Saka holding off Araujo, tight behind him. Such a mild night that Mikel Arteta, not wearing a coat down below, he's got his grey trousers, his black sweater matching his jet black hair, as that smoke from those smoke bombs now drifts towards the halfway line from that left-hand side. Saka to Calafiore, just outside the centre circle. Martinelli, who got the first of Arsenal's 2 goals, coming forward, can't get past Quenda, teenage right wing back, plays the back to St Justa, able to turn, corner of his own area. That was a risky ball across the edge of his own penalty area with Ødegaard and Havertz trying to press. And coming forward now is Saka. This is what Leon Osman's talking about, with Arsenal working off the ball, trying to close down those avenues for Sporting, as Morita will carry it and then pass the ball out towards that far side, the right. Hibs are leading Aberdeen by 1-0. Bottom of the table, Hibs at Easter Road, leading second-placed Aberdeen, who lost that unbeaten record at the weekend. Ball up towards Gyökeres, can't take it first time, and then he couldn't control the ball either. Inter are leading Leipzig by 1-0 in the Champions League, and Walsall are 1-0 up against Bromley in League 2. They're 8 unbeaten at Walsall, and in fact they would go top with a win tonight, replacing Port Vale. So they're 1-0 up at the Bescott Stadium. Know the goals to tell you about on 5 Live. Leon.
Yeah, another brilliant piece of defending from Gabriel. Arsenal, just for the first time, the communication wasn't quite there. Calafiore stepped in, the ball over the top into the penalty area. And for a moment, Gyökeres slowed down. I think he was expecting a tackle from Gabriel, in which case he was wanting a penalty kick. But Gabriel was clever. He just waited, he took his time, he allowed Gyökeres in the end just to run the ball out of the pitch. But outstanding defending.
Such is Arsenal's superiority at the moment. It just feels like this is a routine game for them. They are very, very comfortable. They're leading by 2-0. Up towards Saka, Araujo with a challenge. Timber then takes it on in his stride, lifts the ball back towards Saka. And now all of a sudden Inacio is the player who's got to deal with the England international, as he doesn't deliver the cross straight away. He'll play the ball back to Timber. Infield from the right touchline, Thomas Partey. Now Gabriel, central position, out towards Calafiore on that far side. Declan Rice is in close proximity. As Calafiore runs forward, he passes the ball back to Rice. Forward then towards Ødegaard, left corner of the box. Out towards Calafiore on that far side. Calafiore towards Rice. Arsenal stringing the passes, working the ball triangle. In comes the cross, and it's cleared by a stretching St Justa. Let's get news of that goal from Gavin Wallace at Easter Road.
5 minutes before the break, Ian Hibs scoring through captain Joe Newell. He shot from range, it took a wicked deflection and put it well beyond Dimitar Mitov. But remember, Hibs have lost 14 points from this position this season. Hibs 1, Aberdeen 0.
Gyökeres makes a strong run on the right-hand side. He crossed the ball towards Edwards. On the cover was Timber. And now they get a free kick for a foul by Calafiore. And that was on Trincao on that far side. So 25 yards out from goal, 6 yards in from the right touchline. Sporting, who are 2-0 down, have got a free kick. Young Boys 1, Atalanta 2 is the latest score in the Champions League.
First moments of sloppiness that from Arsenal, having left themselves slightly exposed for the counter-attack, but then they got back brilliantly, and the ball came into Timber edge of the penalty area, and he sort of tried to play a clever pass rather than taking a touch or certainly finding a teammate, and he gave the ball straight to Trincao in this position. Calafiori felt he needed to bring him down. Bit of sloppy.
Trincao then waits to take the free kick. They're trailing 2-0, the Portuguese champions. In it comes now, right down the throat of David Raya. Assured handling, and then he quickly throws the ball out underarm to Ødegaard. Ødegaard for a diagonal ball. And now it is with Saka running forward. It's 2 against 3. Sporting, though, are getting men back. Saka enters the penalty area, cuts inside and shoots. And Israel makes the save.
Yeah, you feel that Arsenal can get at this Sporting team in every way. I mentioned counter-attacks before, and that was a really good one. Saka and Martinelli split with Ødegaard running through the middle with the ball. He chose Saka, who actually, once he got into the penalty area, he sent both Sporting players who were trying to mark him on the one-way and came onto his left foot. Just didn't quite catch the effort as he would have liked. Tried to go near post, didn't get the power that he would have desired. But again, good attack from Arsenal.
Ball played back to Israel. 24-year-old Uruguayan international goalkeeper, yet to establish himself really since he arrived in Lisbon. Bayer Leverkusen have got a third goal against Salzburg, 3-0. Sporting do come forward. Quenda on that far side plays a ball that Trincao wasn't expecting it, disjointed. He was flat-footed, it went behind him, and Raya will easily collect the ball with his feet.
If you said, you know, we were discussing it before the game, that one team has struggled to score in European football of late, and one team out here is on an incredible winning run, you wouldn't think it was who it is. You'd think Arsenal are the team, because they look full of confidence. They look like they're able to score with every attack, and it's Sporting who look disjointed, and you know, they can't quite get enough to go. Credit to Arsenal because of the way they've set up this mid-block to really frustrate this Sporting team.
Well, Arsenal look a threat every time they're coming forward. They're leading by 2-0, and Ødegaard again has got just too much room in the midfield. Morita eventually goes towards him, leaves it then for Thomas Partey. Here is Timber out towards Saka. Araujo goes towards him. Saka though won't. He shows him on the inside. He'll come on the inside, then nicks it into the path of Ødegaard. Saka was taken out. The ball is scooped forward. Havertz will lift it goalwards, and then it's volleyed away by Diomande. Half-time at Bramall Lane. Chris Coles.
Sheffield United 2, Oxford United 0. Extremely comfortable. Callum O'Hare's first for the club, tapping in Tyrese Campbell's cross. Campbell himself then rounded the keeper for the second. Oxford conceded 6 to Middlesbrough on Saturday. A second half of damage limitation beckons again. Sheffield United 2, Oxford 0.
Atalanta have got a third goal in Switzerland. Young boys who yet to actually pick up any points so far in this Champions League campaign, losing at home by 3-1. As Sporting play the ball out from defence, but Arsenal win it back with Saliba to Timber. Now on this right-hand side, we've been playing now for 32.5 minutes, and Arsenal lead 2-0. Here is Ødegaard. Thomas Partey, right side, finds Timber. Timber thought about the cross, passes the ball back infield to Ødegaard. He goes infield to Thomas Partey, back towards Timber, dominating with possession. What about Manchester City Feyenoord, Connor?
Manchester City 0, Feyenoord 0. When City played where you are in Lisbon a few weeks ago, they got caught several times on the break, and that's happened here for the first time tonight. Igor Pacho clean through, tried to chip the ball over Edison, needed it to be higher, saved by the Brazilians. City 0, Feyenoord 0.
Thanks, Connor. Here is Ødegaard for Arsenal. Declan Rice, forward ball, finds Timber, right corner of the area, passes the ball to an unmarked Saka on the right touchline, 6 yards up from the byline, plays it back to Ødegaard. Just seen a possession stats that Arsenal have 45% possession. I've got to say, I was surprised. It feels greater.
It does, and if that's true, it's because Arsenal's possession is meaningful possession. They're having it on the edge of Sporting's penalty area. It's all intense. It's with a purpose. They look like they're trying to create something, which is actually different from what we've seen Arsenal in European football at times, where they seemingly have had possession for the sake of it. Tonight it's Sporting who are having possession on the halfway line, not being able to go anywhere with it, and Arsenal look like they can penetrate.
Ødegaard in towards Saka, flicks it back towards Rice. Good covering though, and it was just to clear the ball away for Sporting, because Arsenal were closing in on a third. Half-time in League One at Wickham. Aaron Paul.
2-0, a turgid first 45 in football, freezing cold. Aaron Morley has gone closest to breaking the deadlock with a long-range fizzer held by goalkeeper Pym on the stroke of half-time. Wickham 0, Mansfield 0 at the break.
Inacio forced to go into a sliding challenge to stop the run of Havertz, right-hand side of the penalty area. Ødegaard still down this right where Arsenal are attacking. They're having so much joy, and Sporting just can't get hold of the ball as Timber then retrieves it just momentarily. It looked like there might have been a respite there for Sporting, but they can't get hold of it.
If you're Arsenal now and you're on the pitch, you're saying to each other, come on, let's get the third, because this could be the game done here. If they go in at 2-0 at half-time, Sporting could potentially make changes, make adjustments, get the crowd on side, come out the second half. If they get the third now in this spell of the game where they are well and truly in control of this football match, that could be the game.
Arsenal playing the ball at the round of the back, which means we'll go to Turf Moor, half-time. Sani Rudravangela.
Burnley 0, Coventry 0. The home side dominating possession. Jadon Anthony, the brightest spark on the left, but Burnley 5 shots, none on target, and nothing at all from Coventry. Burnley 0, Coventry City 0.
Tomorrow night we're live at Anfield. Liverpool against Real Madrid. Tottenham Roma is our commentary on Thursday evening. And then more Premier League commentaries at the weekend. Crystal Palace Newcastle at 3, West Ham Arsenal at 5:30, Manchester United Everton, and Liverpool Manchester City on Sunday. As Arsenal with Rice in the centre circle out towards Martinelli. He's got a lot of space as he comes in now from that left touch line, runs forward, level the penalty area. St Juste back pedals, Martinelli crosses the ball into the box. Havertz is there, might come out towards Saka, controls it, stabs it down with a motion with his right foot. Ødegaard threads it through, took a deflection off the legs of Inacio to prevent it from reaching Havertz. It's kept in play on the near side, the right, for Saka at a walking pace, toying with Araujo, looks to go on the outside of him. Araujo though recovers and then clears towards Edwards. Hardly mentioned Edwards as well. He's been on a peripheral figure here tonight for Sporting, and Gyökeres hasn't had much service either.
Well, they've all been on the peripheral of the game. They've not been able to get any service to their front players. The most touches of Sporting teams have been the back three as they pass it to each other as Arsenal frustrate. They've not been able to cause Arsenal any incident. When they've got the ball forward on occasion, they've tried to slide them down the channels for Gyökeres, yet Gabriel and Saliba love it. They're loving those type of challenges all day, sprinting, physicality, 1v1 situations, so he's had no joy.
Sporting at the moment 2-0 down and not even looking like they're going to get away back into the game. Gyökeres beaten to the ball by Saliba. Here is Ødegaard. Saka is available, finds him, enters the penalty area now, cutting in onto his left foot shot, blocked, might fall here towards Rice, who slashes at that right-footed. I think Havertz might have been winded in the process. He's gone down inside the penalty area, but it's all Arsenal.
It is. I'm just trying to see the attempts. We're talking 4 or 5. I think actually Arsenal, you'd expect to have actually troubled the goalkeeper a little bit more than they have done, considering the possession and the chances they've sort of created and the opportune areas of the pitch they've got into as well.
Half-time at Easter Road. Gavin Wallace.
Hibernian 1, Aberdeen 0. Captain Joe Neal's second goal of the season. It was shot from range, it was deflected, and Mitov with no chance. Hibs 1-0 up at the break here at Easter Road.
Thank you, Gavin. We've got 7 minutes to go to half-time. And Arsenal, I can't really recall them having a scare in this first half.
No, they haven't. There's been, I think, 2, maybe 3 occasions where Sporting have looked like getting an attack going and exposing Arsenal's defence, but Gabriel and Saliba have stood up to that last bit of defending. Sporting haven't been able to get into these spaces enough.
Edwards with a turn, direct run at the heart of the Arsenal defence, but in the end there was just red and white shirts and he couldn't find a way through. And it was Saliba who will play it forward towards Saka, who goes to ground, gets the shove in the back from Araujo. Mikel Arteta would have helped with that as well, because in the eye line of the referee he was leaping up with both arms aloft, and Arsenal do get the free kick. I think it was a foul, to be fair, but Arsenal midway through their own half, 2-0 up, and at the minute, and it can change with a Sporting goal, but at the minute it feels like they're on easy street. It
is, and that's why I say you probably want to try and get that third goal now, because it will not be this easy in the second half. Once the manager of Sporting, Herrera, gets them in and starts making some tactical changes, or gives them one of those team talks that makes them at least be more competitive, because they tried to be competitive for the first 5 minutes, get really tight to Arsenal. For Arsenal was so good in possession that they've now started to back off and give them spaces, and there's no intensity about the Sporting press, so Arsenal having a really good evening.
Ball played forward. And then St. Juste back to Israel, the goalkeeper, hits it long first time. At the start of play, Arsenal were 14th in the live league table as Gyökeres makes the run in behind and finds some space on that right-hand side. Gyökeres cuts it back towards Trincao. Saliba just steps forward as a supporter in front of us turns around and hits the press box boardings in front of us in frustration, because that was one of those rare opportunities where they have got round the back of the Arsenal defence and a potential opening.
Yeah, and again it was a bit sloppy. It's mostly best opportunities for Sporting, or in one occasion where they did have a good bit of play. The rest of the half opportunities have come from sloppiness from Arsenal, and that was a poor header initially from Gabriel, but he was in a brilliant position to make sure that he rescued the situation. They've looked very assured defensively of Arsenal.
Saka has gone central. Havertz at the moment occupies the width on this, provides the width on this near side to right. Calafiore in a central area now. Gabriel joins the attack. Diagonal ball to Saka with his back to goal. Back towards Partey, passes it out to Havertz. Level with the penalty area right-hand side. Arsenal play from left to right, leading 2-0. Ødegaard comes onto the ball at a walking pace. Oozes class. Quality player. Here now is Thomas Partey. Again, Ødegaard is the one linking up the play. They've missed that spark. Saka on the stretch, loses out to Inacio, passes the ball out wide to the Sporting right. Quenda won't keep the ball in play. At the minute, those hands are going to hurt. She keeps on banging her hands like that. Arsenal are still outside the top 8 in the live league table. They've got 10 points from 5. Opta reckon that 16 points, the estimate, would get you into the top 8. Who have they got left to play, Arsenal? Monaco at home, Dinamo Zagreb at home, Girona away. They should get that with a win here tonight. Yeah,
I think so. I think this is, we're talking how vital this match week is for everybody really in this Champions League new format. It'll just tell us who's in the run to try and get into that top 8, and this would be a statement victory for Arsenal, as you said, with 2 very winnable home games coming up, to basically say we want that match week off after Christmas. We'd rather wait and see how everyone gets on, and we'll meet you in the next round. And this has been a performance that justifies that.
Edwards collects the ball from Hjulman, slows down, allows Arsenal to get red and white shirts back behind the ball. Out to the left-hand side finds Araujo with the cross. Quenda arriving, good header away under pressure from Calafiore, helped out by Martinelli, shields the ball away from Trincao, and then Sporting win the ball back. But there's a penalty at Manchester City. Conor McNamara.
A penalty to Manchester City. This is controversial. Shot comes in, seems to hit the foot of a defender and ricochet up onto his arm. I'm not sure this would have been given in the Premier League, but the video assistant referee has looked at it. The penalty has been awarded, and Erling Haaland has placed the ball on the spot. This game has had so many of the recent problems that have plagued Manchester City on the run of 5 straight defeats they've endured. They've had chances tonight. Haaland's had a header brilliantly clawed away, heading towards the bottom corner. Jack Grealish has had a volley deflected off Phil Foden. Foden himself had a low shot, well saved by the goalkeeper. The latest chance was a Nathan Ake header from a corner that he put wide. But now the most clear-cut opportunity on a night that Manchester City are looking to stop the rot. Erling Haaland is taking his time over it. He's placed the ball. He's standing with his hands at his hips. This is very strange body language from Erling Haaland, and now eventually he walks back just about 3 paces, and here he comes. Erling Haaland scores. Manchester City 1, Feyenoord 0.
Haaland actually missed a penalty here when they lost by 4-1. Whilst we were hearing Haaland score and giving Manchester City the lead, Giovanni Quenda has just fired one over the crossbar. Must have taken a touch on its way through.
Yeah, saved by David Raya, and again Arsenal causing their own issues. It just feels that easy that you just become a little bit lackadaisical. Thomas Partey giving the ball away really poorly, and Sporting managing a counter-attack.
Corner kick then on the right-hand side. It's a curling one in from the right, easily caught though by David Raya. I'll tell you who could be struggling, Paris Saint-Germain. They are losing now in Germany. Bayern Munich 1, Paris Saint-Germain 0. And not just struggling to qualify automatically, they could be actually going out of the competition altogether, because they're currently in 26th position. And remember, there are further games tomorrow in this new league phase. But Manchester City are ahead, and Arsenal are comfortably leading by 2-0 as we're inside the last 60 seconds of this first half here, live in Lisbon on BBC Radio 5 Live. As Saka attacks Araujo, Saka waits, looks to go on the outside, and does so. Araujo goes to ground. Saka now curls the cross towards the far post. Downward heading, Martinelli was trying to turn, and then Diamandi was the one who put it behind for a corner kick as Arsenal again threatened.
Yeah, excellent again. But there's just been a real commitment by Arsenal to get bodies into the opposition's penalty area. So often you'll see Saka do his magic or Martinelli do something on the other side, and there's not enough people inside the penalty area committing to being on the end of the chances. They'll ring the penalty area to sustain attacks. Tonight they've got 3 or 4 players in and around Kai Havertz every time the ball's gone wide, and Sporting have really struggled to deal with it.
They've got a zonal marking system for this corner kick of Sporting, and Arsenal have got 5 red and white shirts that have gathered at the far post as it's a corner kick to Arsenal on that far side, the left. Rice is certainly testing the patience of the Sporting supporters. In comes his corner kick, and meeting it was Gabriel. And he's headed from close range, and Arsenal on the stroke of half-time have surely got the 3 points in the bag with a third goal.
Well, Declan Rice was frustrating the crowd. He made them wait an age to take that set piece, but wow, was it worth waiting for. What a delivery this was. The technique he used was flawless as he runs up, and he just whipped it with real pace and precision to right on line with the far post, probably about 4 yards out, right above the Sporting defenders who were very zonal in the way they were defending it, which just gave Gabriel the opportunity with a run-up unopposed to get right above everybody and just to guide it into the back of the goal, use all the pace on the ball, and you're right, 3-0 right on the stroke of half-time. Brilliant for Mikel Arteta's Arsenal.
And that was the last bit of action, because Szymon Marciniak, the Polish referee, has blown the half-time whistle, and Arsenal's dominance has been rewarded with 3 goals. Started off in excellent form with Martinelli after 7 minutes. Havertz walked in a second, and Gabriel, with a powerful header, has got the third in stoppage time. Sporting 0, Arsenal 3. Lady Kelly.
Thank you very much, Ian Dennis. Leon, it's been a brilliant first half from Arsenal, but actually not very different from what Manchester City did last week. They've just been brilliant at converting their chances in this instance.
Yeah, but they've had real control, real authority over the game, which has meant that they can get bodies forward into the penalty area. Mikel Arteta said in his pre-match press conferences he wanted a real ruthless performance tonight. Probably haven't seen Manchester City's dominance here before the obviously ending of the scoreline, but knowing that when you're on top in these games you have to score goals, because this is a team that will find moments within the game to put you under pressure. So that was why I felt as well it was important to get that third goal there, to make sure that there's real distance in between both the teams as you go into the second half.
Yeah, and apart from anything else, it means that once they go into the second half, they've travelled away from home, they've got a Champions League midweek game, and the second half they just don't need, they're going to have to see the game out, but they don't need to perform at that level of intensity.
No, but you have to maintain a certain level of intensity in the Champions League, because it's a high quality format with high quality players, and if they drop their intensity too much, then obviously they open the door. But you're right, they don't need to go in search of any goals in the second half. They've been a defensively solid team for the majority of the last 18 months, 2 years, so we know they can defend leads, we know that they can keep things tight and trust the defensive line, because the 2 centre-halves have been outstanding in the first half when called upon. They'll hope that they can just take possession of the ball in this second half and sort of count the clock down in that way.
Leon, thank you very much. Leon Osman and Ian Dennis at the Estadio José Alvalade, and we'll be back with them for the second half of that game, where Arsenal are absolutely dominant against Sporting Lisbon in the first half. First half has come to a close for Manchester City at the Etihad. Their game against Feyenoord. Conor McNamara, they lead as well, but by a very narrow margin.
Yes, Manchester City 1, Feyenoord 0, and Erling Haaland's penalty just before half-time releases what Manchester City fans hope is a pressure valve now. After missing a host of chances in this first half, City really needed that goal, and we wonder, is the 5-game losing streak going to come to an end tonight for Pep Guardiola? 45 minutes to go. Speaking of the number 45, Kelly, Erling Haaland's goal, he's 45th in the Champions League. At 24, he's become the youngest player to reach that tally. He has beaten Lionel Messi's record. City 1, Feyenoord 0 for now.
What a record to go. Conor, thank you very much. Conor McNamara will keep us across everything that happens at the Etihad Stadium. We'll round up the rest of the Champions League in just a second. Also a busy night in the EFL. In the Championship, it's half-time between Sunderland and West Brom. Adam Cottier.
Draws have been frequently contested between these two sides for both these teams. A lot of draws recently. It's Sunderland 0, West Brom 0 at the break. Two capable teams cancelling each other out. Wilson Isidor's had a scuff shot scooped away by the West Brom keeper Alex Palmer. Josh Madger at the other end skewed a volley off target from Tom Fellows' cross. It's a game that's not living up to its billing at the moment. It is Sunderland 0, West Brom 0.
Fingers crossed for the second half in that one for you, Adam. Sunderland then West Brom 0. That one's at half-time. It was an 8 o'clock kick-off. Elsewhere in the Championship, the second half's just getting underway. It's Burnley 0, Coventry 0, Hull 0, Sheffield Wednesday 1, Norwich 2, Plymouth 1, Sheffield United 2, Oxford United 0, Stoke 0, Preston 0, and Watford 0, Bristol City 0. In League 1, 9 games to take you through there. It's Barnsley 1, Reading 0, Bristol Rovers 0, Blackpool 1, Burton 0, Charlton 0, Cambridge United 0, Bolton 0, Exeter 0, Birmingham 1. Half-time between Leyton Orient and Huddersfield. Huddersfield are 1-0 up in that game. It's Wigan 2, Northampton 0, Wrexham 0, Lincoln 0, Wickham 0, Mansfield 0, and just a couple of games in League 2. Tranmere 0, AFC Wimbledon 1, and Walsall 0, Bromley 0. Also busy in the National League, which you can keep across on the BBC Sport website and app. And another busy night in the Champions League. Let's find out what's happening elsewhere with John Bennett.
And Paris Saint-Germain, Kelly, are in big trouble. Half-time at the Allianz Arena. Bayern Munich 1, Paris Saint-Germain 0. So at the moment, they're outside the top 24, Paris Saint-Germain. They were growing into the game, actually, before the goal, not long before half-time. Terrible goalkeeping, and it was Safonov who couldn't punch the ball out, and Kim Min-jae headed in from close range, so Bayern Munich have the lead. Elsewhere, a landmark for Robert Lewandowski. Barcelona 1, Brest 0, his 100th Champions League goal. Only Messi and Ronaldo have reached the century mark. It's been a good night for Bayer Leverkusen. They're 3-0 up against Red Bull Salzburg. Florian Wirtz with 2 goals. Inter 1, RB Leipzig 0, an own goal giving Inter the lead. They still haven't conceded in the Champions League this season. And it's Young Boys 1, Atalanta 4. The highlight in that game, a goal for the former Arsenal defender Said Kolasinac running through on goal from the halfway line. Atalanta playing some great football.
John, thank you very much. John Bennett's across all of that, keeping a particularly close eye on PSG, because it looks, as he said, like they are in real trouble in terms of just qualifying for the next round of Champions League matches. There's been a goal in the Championship at Burnley. Sonny Radravajula.
Yeah, Kelly, and it's Burnley who've taken it. Harder, better, faster, stronger was played by the PA as the teams came back out. It was nothing almost that happened in that first half, and straight away Burnley have been at it. Really well worked down the right-hand side. Connor Roberts cross, and it's Brighton Loney, Jeremy Sarmiento just in front of the penalty spot to sideboard for his second goal of the season. Burnley 1, Coventry City 0.
Sani, thank you very much for that. Regular updates from everything that's happening in the EFL and in the Champions League throughout our commentary of Sporting Lisbon against Arsenal, where Arsenal absolutely dominant in the first half. They lead that one by 3-0. Second half commentary to come. We'll also look ahead to tomorrow night's Champions League action after the BBC News with Nick Hatfield.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Kelly. Good evening. President Biden says a ceasefire deal has been agreed in Lebanon. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been outlining details of the agreement to his senior ministers. It would effectively stop the conflict with Hezbollah. President Biden has been speaking in Washington in the last few minutes.
Under the deal reached today, effective at 4 a.m. tomorrow local time, the fighting across the Lebanese-Israeli border will end. This is designed to be a permanent cessation of hostilities. What is left of Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations will not be allowed, I emphasize, will not be allowed to threaten the security of Israel again.
Well, Mr. Biden says the US will also lead a new push for a ceasefire in Gaza. Our security correspondent Frank Gardner has been looking at the details of the deal in Lebanon.
60 days, 2 months, during which the Israeli army will withdraw in stages from Lebanon, from the south of Lebanon, where it's been active. Hezbollah will withdraw north of the Litani River, 30 kilometres north of the Lebanon border, and the security vacuum will be backfilled by a bolstered Lebanese National Army and troops from UNIFIL, that's the United Nations interim force in Lebanon.
In other news, a mother who kept her baby daughter hidden in a drawer for the first 3 years of her life has been sentenced to 7.5 years in prison. The girl was only discovered when a visitor to their house in Cheshire heard her crying. Russia has banned 30 UK cabinet ministers, MPs, defence officials and journalists from entering the country. Moscow says it's for what it calls hostile actions by Britain. A British diplomat has also been expelled from Russia over accusations he was spying, which Downing Street has called malicious and baseless. More than 1,000 jobs are at risk after Vauxhall announced it will close its van-making factory in Luton. The plant is expected to shut next April. Vauxhall's owner, Stellantis, says production will move to Ellesmere Port. And the Royal Air Force is helping the US investigate reports of drones flying near bases used by the American military in Suffolk and Norfolk. Counter-drone systems have been deployed to bases in East Anglia. It's unclear who might be behind the drones.
This is a matchup we've been waiting for.
Liverpool kick off in the red kit with the white trim. Manchester City sky blue shirts.
In the red corner, Liverpool.
McAllister right-footed, high above the dive of Edison.
In the blue corner, Manchester City.
Stones has got the contact on that and he's forced it into the net.
Two of the fiercest competitors around lock horns. Who can deliver the knockout blow? Liverpool v Manchester City, Sunday from 4 on the home of the Premier League.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports.
The Champions League with Kelly Cates.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
In the Champions League this evening, it's Sporting Lisbon 0, Arsenal 3 at half-time. Martinelli, Havertz and Gabriel on the score sheet for the visitors. Manchester City are 1-0 up against Feyenoord at the Etihad. Erling Haaland's penalty separates the sides at half-time. We'll be back in Lisbon for second-half commentary of that game. Elsewhere, Jacob Bethel will bat at number 3 on his Test debut as England's series in New Zealand begins tomorrow night in Christchurch. Bethel has never batted at 3 for Warwickshire and is yet to make a first-class 100. In the snooker, it's the last 32 of the UK Championship in York. Jamie Broughton is there, and what a night. We've had a maximum, Jamie.
We have, Kelly. Great action here tonight. Zhang Anda, who's taking on Li Pei Fan, has just made a 147 maximum break. The crowd were on their feet. Everybody was excited, and it was a big frame to win as well, apart from the 147, because it meant he drew level at 2 frames all in his match. On the other table, Mark Williams is now 3-1 up against Stuart Bingham. 6 is the target for a place in the last 16.
Thank you very much for that, Jamie. Just a reminder that Liverpool against Real Madrid is our Champions League commentary tomorrow night on 5 Live Sport and BBC Sounds. Jude Bellingham's had plenty to say this evening's press conference, including this on his England experience at the Euros this summer.
I've got to be honest, I think I lost my smile a lot after the Euros when it came to playing for England because of, I don't know, I felt like I was a little bit mistreated in comparison to what I contributed. I felt like some of it was a bit harsh on me. I think I felt a bit like the scapegoat. Maybe I was feeling a little bit sorry for myself. And I think that camp with a lot of new faces really brought out the joy in my game again. I think you could see that in the 2 games. But in general, I hadn't lost my smile in the Madrid shirt. Obviously, I'm annoyed when we lose, and I get frustrated and I get upset when we lose, but it's never a case of not being happy. You know, I'm the luckiest lad in the world. I get to play week in, week out for the biggest club in the world and represent my country. So yeah, I think that was more to do with a little bit of how I was treated on the back of the Euros. But yeah, smile is back.
Andros Townsend is with us and was listening to Jude Bellingham there. Do you think he was the scapegoat for England's failure to win the Euros, Andros?
No, and I was a bit surprised when I saw this article, to be honest. I think, obviously, he was criticised when he wasn't playing well, and he was lauded when he scored the goal that got us into the quarterfinals. So I put it down to the fact that his whole career has just been on the up and up, and he's had positive press after positive press after positive press. And I think this is the first moment where he's had a little bit of negative press, and maybe he didn't react as well as he would have liked to. Like, it's never going to work shutting out the journalists and not speaking to the journalists. They're only going to write more negative stuff about you. I don't think it crossed the line, but I think it's just a learning curve in the life and the career of Jude Bellingham, and one he's never had to face before, and he has now.
But presumably the press is pretty hot in Madrid as well. If you play for Real Madrid, you're going to have that level of intense scrutiny. But having faced it, I mean, as you said, it's a learning experience for him. But having faced it and having gone back to Real Madrid, do you think he's more prepared for it if it happens again another time, whether it's collectively or whether it's criticism of him as an individual?
100%. I think even in his first season at Madrid, he probably had no negative press because he was scoring last-minute winners every week, and he's maybe not started that well at the start of this season, but he's going to deal with that in his career. He's one of the most famous people in the world. He plays for the biggest club in the world. He plays for a massive nation like England. There are going to be moments where he does have criticism for club and country, and hopefully now that he's realised how he should react and how he shouldn't react, and deal with it a bit better when it does happen in the future.
Andros, for now, thanks very much. But Andros Townsend is with us throughout the evening here on 5 Live Sport, and will be joining us at full time in the match between Sporting Lisbon and Arsenal. We'll be back there very shortly. Updates from Man City against Feyenoord. Tomorrow night we'll also be at Celtic against Club Brugge and Villa Park for the visit of Juventus. Let's check in quickly at Bramall Lane. Chris Coles is watching Sheffield United against Oxford United.
Sheffield United have a third now, leading 3-0. That's surely 3 points. Jezran Raksaki on loan from Palace, finishing off a lovely move, firing into the corner, and Sheffield United heading top of the Championship with scores as they are elsewhere. Sheffield United 3, Oxford 0.
Chris, thank you very much for that. Let's head back to Lisbon now. It's Sporting Lisbon 0, Arsenal 3, as we head into the second half with Leon Osman and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Yes, we're about to get underway here in the Jose Alvalade Stadium, with Sporting a little bit bedraggled as they restart the game, trailing by 3-0. And Arsenal have put in a very, very comfortable, confident first 45 minutes. Leon Osman.
Yeah, they have. I mean, as performances go, Arsenal couldn't really have asked for anything better. They, looked brilliant in the first half, scored 3 wonderful goals, could have scored more, looked very assured defensively. Gyökeres's much been applauded for his goal-scoring exploits this season. Hasn't had a chance. He's not been able to get away from Gabriel Saliba at any moment, and Arsenal have looked very, very strong. So, sure, the message from Mikel Arteta in the second half is same again, please.
So Sporting, neither side has made a change, incidentally, at half-time. I'll run through the two teams for you as Saka and Ødegaard combine on that right-hand side. Arsenal in this second period are playing from right to left as we look. Sporting now will come forward with Edwards over the halfway line. They have Francisco Israel in goal, the Uruguayan goalkeeper who joined from Juventus' reserves 2 years ago. St. Justa, Diamande and Inacio, the 3 central defenders. Morita picks it up. Square ball out towards Quenda. 17-year-old enters the penalty area. Back it goes to Hjulmand. Infield, Morita looks for a shooting opportunity. And Raya makes his first save of the game. First proper save. Low down to his left to turn the ball behind for a corner. Quenda, Hjulmand, Morita and Araujo. Trincao, Gyökeres and Edwards.
Yeah, good save. An important save just at the start of this second half because of that dominance that Arsenal had. You don't want to give Sporting an opportunity to get going early in this second half.
In comes the corner kick on the right-hand side. Fine goal. Inacio hit it first time, and Sporting have a goal back. He took it so well. 2 minutes into the second half, and Sporting keep up their sequence of scoring in home games that are stretched for over 2 years. It was the way that he moved himself to guide it in left-footed.
Yeah, it's a great finish. and it's poor again from Arsenal. Calafiori's picking him up, and he just gets himself run into bodies and into people, and he ends up stumbling over and falling. Just giving Inacio an opportunity to just open his body up and pass it probably from shin height alongside the front post into that area just after David Raya had made that save to make sure Arsenal's dominance was continuing. They've just opened the door, let the Sporting back in. This crowd's just got off their feet. They're now excited. They're hoping for a big second half. Arsenal need to quiet the crowd again.
Inacio, who scored when they met 2 seasons ago in the Europa League, has repeated that, and all of a sudden gives the Portuguese champions and league leaders a little bit of hope. They trail by 3-1. We'll go to Easter Road, where there's been a goal. Gavin Wallace.
Hibs 1, Aberdeen 1. Shaden Morris just on the park. He cuts it back to Jamie McGrann. The Irishman taps home for his 4th of the season. Game on. Aberdeen now 1-each against Hibs.
If Sporting were to get another goal, then it would be game on here in Lisbon, live on BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. Cambridge United 0, Bolton Wanderers 1, Wigan 2, Northampton 1, our latest scores in League One on BBC Radio 5 Live. The 5 Live final score is available either on the website, the iPlayer, or indeed the red button. And for Arsenal, when we thought that they were on their way to the 3 points, they might just still have a little bit of work to do. But 51 games now at home where they've scored in consecutive games, Sporting Lisbon, and there is now that air of expectation that they look to try and build on that. Sporting with a Toho back in the game. Arsenal clear. It's been a good strong start by Sporting.
Yeah, it has, but you sometimes don't see or realise the significance of small moments. Arsenal actually won the ball back from the initial Sporting attack at the start of the second half, and then Bukayo Saka just gave a really sloppy pass into the middle of the pitch, and suddenly Sporting have that move, have that shot, and then obviously get the goal, and now they're on top, the crowd's up, and all because of just one sloppy moment of play. Yes, though, they happen quite often in football, but you can't allow them to happen on the edge of your own penalty area.
Ball given away. Martinelli. Rice, left-hand side of the penalty area. Rice, goal kick. Tried to win a corner, but Trincao had tracked back with him. As the Sporting supporters are again not happy.
Not happy is an understatement. They're furious in front of us, turning around, trying to see our screens for the replays, and hanging actually the Hordens in front. They're very frustrated that a few decisions they feel haven't gone their way, and either way they're very much involved in this second half now, having happened to be quiet for the majority of the first.
Gyökeres looking to turn, goes to ground, gets a free kick. His shirt was being pulled, and this is a threatening position now. It's inside the D. I've got to say, I was disappointed by Sporting first half, as good as Arsenal were. However, we are now starting to see the reason why Sporting started this game second in this Champions League table, because Gabriel was pulling the shirt of Gyökeres, and this, as the supporters are up and out of their seats, swirling the green and white scarves along, and making a real racket here in Lisbon, because it's quite a central position. So you could have Gyökeres with his right foot, you could have Trincao with his left.
Yeah, it's inside the D, very central, probably a yard outside the edge of the penalty area. And you've got options, Arsenal. Yes, they're going back, David Raya's lining the wall up. I don't think they've got the draft excluder at the moment. As I say that, I think Odegaard is now lying on the ground, which means the wall will jump. So David Raya basically is saying that side's not going to concede a goal, so it's up to the goalkeeper.
Gyökeres with a long run-up, and he blasts it. Right-footed, and it was continuing to rise over the crossbar, and a goal kick. Manchester City were leading Feyenoord by a 1-0. There's just been another goal. Conor McNamara.
Early stages of the second half, and Manchester City have doubled their lead. It is İlkay Gündoğan, his second goal since returning to the club from Barcelona. They both now come in the Champions League. A corner deflected down to him, drilled it in through a forest of legs. City lead 2-0.
Raya has just been shown a yellow card for time wasting by Simon Marciniak. I'm conscious I actually haven't given you the Arsenal 11 since the start of the second half because of that early goal and the activity that we've had. Raya is in goal, just been booked. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiore, Partey, Rice, Ødegaard, Martinelli, Saka and Kai Havertz. Arsenal lead by 3-1. Manchester City Feyenoord is 2-0 to Manchester City to end that losing sequence of 5 successive games. Tomorrow at Anfield, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Tottenham, Roma on Thursday night in the Europa League. As Arsenal taking their time, but the Sporting supporters are getting extremely irked because they're trying to waste time at every opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal are actually, I think, at the very top of the Premier League with regards to time taken in between set pieces and throw-ins and dead ball situations. So it comes as no surprise to us that Arsenal are doing it, but if you're behind at home and time is of the essence and you need to get the game going, yeah, you can hear how they feel about it.
Barnsley 1, Reading 2, forward ball by Ødegaard. Arsenal, who looked like they were a threat every time at the moment, haven't really hit their straps at the start of the second half. Quenda picks it up and is urged to go on forward. And Julia Blige is on this near side, the right, but can't get past Martinelli, but Martinelli suggests to have fouled him as Wrexham are leading Lincoln City by 1-0. Wrexham second in the table. Lincoln City have just looking for a playoff position, 7th in League One, so they're just outside that top 6, have fallen behind at the racecourse ground. Remember, elsewhere in that division, Wycombe Wanderers currently drawing the leaders at home to Mansfield, so it would mean that Phil Parkinson's side moved within 2 points of Wycombe the way it stands. Sporting trailing by 3-1. 9 minutes into the second half. Certainly made for an interesting second period, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, when a team dominates as much as Arsenal did in the first half, you sometimes worry about a second half. Will it peter out? Will the games lose intensity? But you did know that Sporting would have to step up their game. This crowd demand it. You can feel it just sitting around us, the demands of the intensity from this team. But Arsenal gifted them the opportunity to put pressure on in the first start of this second half. Conceded the goal, and now, yeah, we do have a game on our hands again.
And once again, delaying the throw just as the whistles reaches a crescendo. Calafiore takes it on this left-hand side. Sporting, though, have got the ball on the halfway line. Another goal at the Etihad, Conor McNamara.
Another goal from Manchester City, 3-0 now against Feyenoord. Pep Guardiola sits back and looks satisfied in the dugout as Erling Haaland slid in to get on the end of Mateus Nunes's cross. 3 goals already, long way to go. Manchester City look back in business ahead of their trip to Anfield at the weekend. 3-0 against Feyenoord.
4 o'clock commentary, that one. We'll have commentary on BBC Radio 5 Live. Liverpool, of course, 8 points clear. If they were to win that one, they would go 11 clear of the champions. It's a massive week for those 2 huge games at Anfield. Real Madrid tomorrow, Manchester City on Sunday, both live on 5 Live. Another delayed throw on that right-hand side for Arsenal. Ødegaard can't control it. Hjulmand touches the ball to Diomande, and the 6'3" striker, defender runs forward inside the centre circle out towards Quenda. It looked like he was a centre forward as he ran forward there with a strong run from that defence. But Sporting now are starting to see a lot more of the ball.
Yeah, in better areas of the field as well. They're more of a threat to Arsenal, and Arsenal just can't seem to keep the ball. I don't think I've seen them have any real spell of possession start of this second half. Players you wouldn't expect to, being sloppy.
Gyökeres lays the ball out to Edwards. Araujo comes forward off that left-hand side, links back up with Edwards, fires it across, and Raya couldn't take any chances. Had to dive smartly down to his right at the near post. Behind it goes for a corner kick.
Yeah, it would have been embarrassing had it beat him at that front post, but it did take a deflection on its way there from the outstretched foot of Thomas Partey, so he had to react very quickly to make sure that he only gave away a corner.
He's made 2 saves now in this second half. He was hardly tested at all in the first period. Corner kick to Sporting, far side the left. Araujo to take it. It's an outswinger. Comes in, headed forward and easily claimed off the head of St Justa by David Raya, who can't dwell on this ball too much, bearing in mind he's been shown a yellow card already for time wasting. So it's an underarm throw out towards Partey, who passes the ball forward, and Ødegaard can now run into space for Arsenal, who lead by 3-1. Through the centre circle he goes. Arsenal in their red and white shirts, white shorts, playing from right to left. Ødegaard passes the ball then to Rice. Shuffles it out then to Martinelli on this near side the left. 10 yards up from the byline. Back towards Calafiore. Calafiori in field, makes the run ahead of Rice, who passes it back out then to Martinelli. Doesn't deliver the cross. He got the first goal for Arsenal in what was a very good first half performance. Arsenal supporters now, we can hear high up in the gods away towards our left hand side as Saliba, a century of appearances now for Arsenal, been such a good buy since they got him from Saint Etienne in 2019. A world-class defender as Morita for Sporting in the midfield, edges his way forward. Arsenal have got every red and white shirt back behind the ball. This is Trincao looking to try and turn. Edwards links up with Gyökeres, that was better. Edwards with a shot over the top, couldn't keep it down. Much better though from Sporting.
Yeah, again, I mean, they look a bit sharper. They're having the possession now inside Arsenal's half and towards the edge of the penalty area. So a couple of little 1-2s and passes around the corner, and suddenly you look dangerous. You've got Arsenal players stretching and sliding to try and block shots. Not in control of the action. Sporting are the ones in control of the ball here.
Barnsley have equalised at Oakwell at home to Reading. It's 2-2. Araujo on that far side, the left, coming forward for Sporting as they trail 3-1. Threads a little ball into Gyökeres, looking to try and turn. Gyökeres still can't get a sight of goal. Gabriel was around, but Gyökeres still tries to get the better of him. Gabriel keeps the ball in play. That was a good little battle between the two. Young Boys 1, Atalanta 5 is the latest score in the Champions League as Timber will clear long. But everybody was back for Arsenal, so that ball just bounces midway through the Sporting half. And it's collected by the goalkeeper. Sporting will come again.
Yeah, a bit of nervousness about Arsenal there. I mean, everybody except Gabriel, his defending 1v1 in the penalty area up against Gyökeres was outstanding again. Great physicality, great anticipation of where Gyökeres was going to be, and then making sure that he kept his legs closed so he couldn't get a shot through it at the goalkeeper. But, you know, there's been a couple of... I mean, Martin Odegaard in the first half, everything he did worked and was outstanding. In the second half, he's probably been guilty more than anyone of giving the ball away, getting caught in possession, and they need him to set the tempo.
I said in the first half, Arsenal look like they're on easy street, anything but in this second period. They're going to have to dig in because Sporting coming forward again on the right hand side. Norwich City have got a fourth goal at home to Plymouth in the Championship. They lead by 4-1. Inacio on the score sheet for Sporting with that ball out towards the left-hand side, comes back, Hillman hits it forward towards Morita, stopped though by the challenge of Thomas Partey. Odegaard loses the ball, Edwards helps win it back. It's a forward ball, Morita. There's a man over on the left-hand side, which is Araujo. Araujo now cuts it back. This is Morita, left corner of the penalty area. Passes it back out towards Araujo as the Uruguayan international was running out towards that far touchline. Inacio, such a key defender under Amorim. 23 years of age, Portuguese defender, St. Justa, passes the ball out towards Quenda. It's a left-footed curling ball, cleared on the volley by Gabriel, who with both arms ushers that Arsenal defence to push on out. Don't want to sit too deep, and they push quite high actually, and go very high as now all of a sudden Arsenal try and press, something that we haven't really seen them able to do in this second half against Sporting.
No, not at all, and look what it brings. It brings Sporting feeling under the pressure and kicking the ball out, but Arsenal had just been in protection mode for the last probably 10 minutes now. Just in protection mode. Even Kai Havertz only 5 yards outside of his penalty area. So it's important we just seeing him. He sprinted 60 yards to try and put pressure on Sporting at the back. And that in turn got the whole team up the pitch.
As it stands in the Championship, Sheffield United are heading top of the table. They lead Oxford by 3-0. What's the latest in the 8 o'clock kickoff at the Stadium of Light? And on Weir side, Adam Cottier.
Sunderland 0, West Brom 0 is the score here, but Sunderland in a poor game have just had a goal disallowed. Wilson Isidore prodding in from close range, but Luke O'Nine's angled cross put him in an offside position. It remains Sunderland 0, West Brom 0.
Sporting haven't lost at home for 13 months. As Gyökeres comes forward and Gyökeres shoots. He'd made the run in the inside right channel of the penalty area. It was edge of the box where he hit it right-footed, and he couldn't keep it down. But again, he's had a lot more to feed on in this second period.
Yeah, and he got into the position really well. And in the first half, he would try and run Gabriel or Saliba, but I think he sort of figured out that he's going to lose that battle. So he just moved the ball to somewhere where he could strike it at goal. He hit it so well. But David Ryan, it was always going over the top of the bar.
Raya passes that ball from the goal kick through the middle along the ground towards Rice, rolls it out towards Timber, comes forward over the halfway line on the right-hand side. He's got Saka out towards his right, who now runs forward. Inacio faces him, does a little step over. Timber on the overlap, cuts the cross first time. Hulman controls it by the penalty spot, able to turn and then clear towards Sporting. Headed on by Edwards towards Trincao. But there was Saliba, comes under pressure from that Sporting duo. And Arsenal will get a throw over on that far side, the right. Ousmane Dembele has been sent off for Paris Saint-Germain. They're continuing to trail away to Bayern Munich by a 0-0 and now down to 10. This is 5 Live in the Champions League. Ødegaard forward, edge of the area. Ødegaard still going. Ødegaard tries to prod it into the path of Saka. He was fouled and the referee's given a penalty. Sporting complain, but Simon Marciniak was perfectly placed. And Arsenal have a penalty for a foul on Ødegaard.
Yeah, my first impressions is that it was finally a good bit of play in this second half from Martin Ødegaard. Good battling, good strength, good ability, and I think I'm just seeing it back now. He wins a challenge with Inacio initially, and then he gets to the ball just in front of Diomande, who slides to ground. And it is, I don't think Ødegaard's able to take the ball, but he certainly catches the back of Ødegaard's legs. He goes to ground, he goes through the back of Martin Ødegaard, and I would be amazed if this was overturned.
Now, this will be important, for Diomande was booked in the first half. If the referee deems that was a genuine attempt to play the ball, it will just be a penalty and no yellow card. I think a supporter in front of us has taken exception to that decision. Not that we've got anything to do with it. He's venting his anger in our direction, Leon. But the penalty is about to be taken. And Arsenal have a chance now to probably seal this game. Havertz is going to hand it to Bukayo Saka. So Bukayo Saka, whose record from the penalty spot is 10 out of 11. Kai Havertz, incidentally, has scored all 13 penalties in his club career. But he hands it towards Bukayo Saka. Amazing, isn't it? Arsenal had gone 4 successive games, without scoring away from home in the Champions League. And yet here, Bukayo Saka, from the penalty spot with a stuttering run-up, has scored their 4th goal of the night. Left-footed, sends it to the goalkeeper's left, and Arsenal have once again got a 3-goal cushion. Sporting 1, Arsenal 4.
That's an outstanding penalty. If the goalkeeper guesses the right way and goes early, and you still find the back of the goal, you know it's a good one. He hits it so hard, he hits it fierce. His accuracy was outstanding, just inside that left-hand upright of the goalkeeper. Did a stutter and run, just whipped it across himself. Keeper had absolutely no chance. Real conviction about that penalty kick, which you'd want, because that was an important moment of the game. They missed that. Sporting will be up, the crowd will be right up behind it, as again you can feel it, the crowd have gone flat. They feel that's the game done and dusted for their team.
Just trying to think, I think it was when Haaland missed his penalty, that would have made it 3-2 at the time. That would have given Manchester City an opportunity to get back in the game when they were beaten here. And likewise, had Sporting saved it, Sporting then would have felt that there was still a chance. But now, 65 minutes into this contest, Sporting 1, Arsenal 4. And as you say, you can feel that it's like popping the balloon. That's what it feels now all of a sudden inside this stadium here in Lisbon.
Yeah, and that's what it was for the majority of the first half, which is exactly what Arsenal want. And they gifted momentum only, 46, 47 minutes in, and now they've wrestled it right back.
If they want that balloon pumping back up, by the way, I would suggest they speak to the gentleman down below.
And the lady sat next to him as well.
There's certainly a lot of hot air coming from the two of them. That'll do the trick. 4-1 to Arsenal, 66 minutes played. Sporting going to make a double change down below. And we are going to be just trying to see who's going to be coming on once again. The Arsenal supporters are vocal. Even that's annoying, the supporters in front of us.
I think he's trying to shout to the Arsenal fans from in front of us, and they're away to our left.
Barcelona 2, Brest 0, Norwich City 5, Plymouth 1, Walsall 1, Bromley 2. So Port Vale, Bromley have come from behind. Port Vale will stay top of League 2. As here is Gyökeres looking to turn, and his left-footed shot. As David Raya caught it and then took a step back over the goal line. And the referee again, Marciniak, has ref that very, very well. Burton 0, Charlton 1.
I'm informed by Rob, our producer, that there's a little bunch of Arsenal fans not too far away from us, and that's where a bit of frustration is coming from.
I see. Double change for Sporting here. Goal meanwhile at Easter Road. Gavin Wallace.
It is indeed, and it's not good for Hibernian. It's Hibernian 1, Aberdeen 2. Nicky Devlin on 77. The ball whipped in from a corner, Ian. It was poorly cleared, and Nicky Devlin in the air with the outside of the right foot puts it over the top of Jordan Smith. Hibs 1, Aberdeen 2.
Thank you, Gavin. So Daniel Braganza has come on, who's a 25-year-old midfielder. He's come up through the Sporting Academy. Actually had a good season so far, 4 goals and 5 assists in his 18 appearances. So he is on. Araujo has also gone off, as the other player to come on is Gini Catamo, who's a Mozambique midfielder. Another one again who's come through the Sporting Academy, the famed Sporting Academy. So Catamo replaces Araujo, and then Edwards has gone off for Daniel Braganza. As Arsenal lead by 4 goals to 1. Barcelona, did I say I've got a second goal at home to Brest? 2-0, if I didn't, I have now. And we are midway through the second half here on 5 Live. Don't forget, tomorrow night from around 10 o'clock you can see all the highlights on the BBC website, and then actually BBC One will show you all the goals as well at 10:40 BBC One tomorrow night. Arsenal 4-1 up, have a corner kick right hand side. Saka powerfully takes it, and it goes over everybody's head, and it will go out of play for a goal kick, and Martinelli has stayed down. Hull City 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2, and there's a goal at Turf Moor also in the Championship. Sani Rudravajala.
Burnley 2, Coventry City 0. It's a first career goal for defender CJ Egan-Riley, but he didn't really mean it. It was a cross from the left hand side, floated all the way into the back stick. Burnley 2, Coventry City 0.
Martinelli is going to be coming off anyway because Trossard is coming on. Birmingham City have got a second goal at Exeter City. Exeter 0, Birmingham City 2. That's in League One. And the other player is going to be coming on is Mikel Moreno, who again will just help shore things up. It was interesting, after the press conference the other day, Mikel Arteta was saying in recent weeks they've only had 12 or 13 fit first team players to train. Ahead of Nottingham Forest they had 19 training, and with the exception of Ben White, who's out now till the new year with a minor knee injury. Even Kieran Tierney's travelled, after a long time out with a thigh problem. Arsenal are getting players back. It means they can make these changes.
Oh, it definitely makes a difference. I mean, just for the competitive nature of your squad in your training sessions, you can actually work hard in training without panicking that one of your 11 players is going to go down injured. So, even those kind of things make a difference. But if you're going to compete, as Arsenal are trying to on numerous fronts, you need as many of your players fit and available as possible.
Moreno replaces Rice. Trossard comes on for Martinelli. And with 20 minutes remaining on BBC Radio 5 Live, any jeopardy that had been building with after Sporting getting a goal back through Inacio has sort of disappeared now, as Arsenal lead by 4 goals to 1. At the back is St Justa. Clears for Sporting. And the referee's blown his whistle. It's going to be a Sporting throw on this near side, which Trossard is going to take. And what was it that Mikel Arteta said to one of the question I asked him yesterday about the break between now and the next international games in March? Yeah, you're going to be playing 3 or 4 days, but he said 32 games. He'd worked it out. I didn't ask him whether it incorporated the potential for the 2 in February. Arsenal, if they finish in the top 8, wouldn't need that. But that's the importance of finishing in that top 8, an automatic qualification. I'm assuming that he didn't include that in his maths, as Hulman can't get there and Trossard plays it back to Partey. You've got to finish in the top 8. 9 to 24 takes you into the playoffs. Opta at the halfway stage had actually predicted that at least all 4 English sides had a 50% chance of qualifying for the knockout stages. Liverpool, of course, who not only do they sit top of the Premier League, but before tonight's games were sitting top of the Champions League. The only side who've won 4 out of 4 at the halfway stage. They have since been replaced and slip to third with Barcelona and Inter ahead of them with the results as they currently stand, or the latest scores as they currently stand. Arsenal here are 4-1 up and are actually going to edge their way into that aforementioned top 8 on goal difference at the expense of Sporting, actually, as Inacio comes forward, finds Trincao, had that one spell on loan at Wolverhampton Wanderers from Barcelona. He plays the ball out towards Quenda on this near side, enters the penalty area right hand side, then comes to a stop. Trincao, Hjulman tries to pass it past Raya, who again was alert, made the save low to his left, one-handed behind for a corner. Arsenal lead 4-1.
Yeah, clever effort. He's at the edge of the penalty area. The way the ball was played to him, he knew he didn't have the stance to be able to put any real power in it, so he just opened his body up and tried to pass it right into the corner, and it took full stretch dive and save from David Raya to keep it out.
He has done well. I mean, we were obviously in Bergamo, weren't we, for that brilliant double penalty save that he made late on in that game against Atalanta. I recall him making a late save against Shakhtar Donetsk, because on the half volley that's hit high and over the top, over on that far side by, I think it was Katamo, the substitute. So he certainly played his part in this Champions League campaign, hasn't he? He was asked yesterday, actually, you know, who he thinks is the world's best goalkeeper, to which he replied Courtois. And then he said the next question was, do you think, you know, that's one of your aspirations? And he said, well, I'll leave that to you guys to discuss it. But when he was at Brentford, he always had this ambition to be a number one at a bigger club. Saka is fed forward by Ødegaard and won't get there. That was one of the reasons that his desire to move to Arsenal. He had the uncertainty, of course, when he was competing with Aaron Ramsdale last season. But ever since January, really, he's just established himself, hasn't he, in that respect?
He has, and justifiably so. His passing has been good, his decision-making has been very good, but his goalkeeping has been excellent. Some of the saves he's made this season, I mean, he must have, 5 saves in the top 10 for this season. He's been outstanding.
Gyökeres finds Trincao just outside the D. Shot takes a deflection, and it had David Raya scrambling, and with that deflection it takes it just over the crossbar. Sporting have certainly caused more of a threat in this second period, but with 16 minutes remaining they have a corner kick, but they're still 4-1 down.
Yeah, but the majority, I think Arsenal have been equal to it. Yes, that went close and it did get a woo from the crowd, but it was a good block, good situation Sporting got into, getting an effort from just probably online with the D, but Gabriel quickly out to it to put a block in and make sure his goalkeeper didn't have to make a save.
Casemiro, the substitute, has gone across towards that far side to take it. Sporting are playing in their predominantly black shirts from left to right as we look. It's a corner kick on the left, it's high, it's swinging away from goal. It wouldn't drop forwards Inacio, it's bobbling around on the edge of the area, and in the end it's Gabriel who will sweep the ball to safety and out for a throw close towards the halfway line. Bayer Leverkusen 5, Salzburg 0, as Leon swats a fly that came in his direction.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you caught it.
I don't know if I did. It went away though. But the second half, you can now feel, the intensity from the crowd has gone. The Sporting are still trying to create opportunities and openings, but when they had the crowd behind them for that 10-15 minute spell, they looked a different team. They looked like the team that we knew we were coming here to watch in that spell. For the rest of it, Arsenal have nullified them absolutely brilliantly. Yes, sometimes with possession, sometimes with quality at the top end, but when the defenders have been called upon, like just then Saliba, they've been brilliant.
And what have you made of Victor Gyökeres? He's got that €100 million release clause in January. Sporting have made it quite clear they don't want to negotiate. Trincao, meanwhile, turns, feeds it forward. This is Bragança on the edge of the penalty area, taken off his toes and dispossessed by Calafiore. Squirts the ball out towards that far side. Thomas Partey passes the ball up towards Saka. Cambridge United have got a late equaliser at home to Bolton Wanderers at the Abbey Stadium in League One. Cambridge United 1, Bolton Wanderers 1. Here is Ødegaard, diagonal ball. Moreno turns, runs into trouble. Gilman forward towards Gyökeres. And there, coming across, was Gabriel, whose forward ball to Ødegaard, and Arsenal on the attack. That's a diagonal ball out towards Havertz, who runs forward, right corner of the area. Arsenal looking for a 5th goal. Now leaves it towards Ødegaard, who turns and passes the ball back towards Timber, infield to Partey. Arsenal have got options ahead of him, midway through the Sporting half. He goes Away out to this near side now, which is Trossard to run forward. Trossard loses out. Another goal at Manchester City. Conor McNamara.
It's 3-1. Feyenoord have got one back, and Manchester City have conceded this sort of goal too regularly in recent times. Just a lumped ball forward over the top. Defence panicked, and Anis Hadj Moussa was able to go around Edison to score. Manchester City 3, Feyenoord 1, 15 minutes to play.
So 3-1 there. Going to be further substitutions. Zinchenko coming on. Guarnieri's going to be coming on as well. Now, if he was to score, he'd be Arsenal's record goal scorer in Europe. First of all, it's a sporting change that has been made, and it is Konrad Harder who has come on, who's a Danish under-21 international forward who they signed from Nordsjælland in September. 6 goals that he's scored in his 12 appearances, as Calafiore and Ødegaard are the players who come off for Arsenal.
Yeah, not surprised about either of those Arsenal substitutions. I think they're players that you're still sort of easing back to full fitness, players that are both important, and it's had a huge effect on this game, especially as Martin Ødegaard, but he has just looked a little tired in the last 5 minutes or so, and it's not somebody you want to be risking in a situation like this.
And incidentally, Harder came on for Morita, so it was a striker for a midfielder. So the blonde-haired Dane is forward alongside Gyökeres, a Scandinavian strike force now, as Preston have had Freddie Woodman, the goalkeeper, sent off. Mixed fortunes in the Woodman household tonight. His dad, manager of Bromley, Andy, has seen his side lead at Walsall by 2-1 and coming from behind. And his son Freddie sent off in the 90th minute in the Championship, as Preston are away to Stoke. I'll give you all the results when they're in here on 5 Live, but final score is available as Sporting trailing 4-1 coming forward, and that is with Katamo on that far side, as Arsenal with their changes. Again, the luxury of having such a cushion, isn't it, bearing in mind they've got that game against West Ham United at the weekend. The commentary incidentally is on 5 Live.
Yeah, and you can make them changes because, as I said, this was an intimidating atmosphere to play in at the start of the second half. It's not now. It's gone really, really flat. I wouldn't say it's like a training game as such, but Arsenal are just able to keep the ball even on their own edge of their own penalty area without the crowd having, screaming or really making it difficult for Arsenal. They've been brilliant. They really have. They've deserved and they've earned to be in this position where they can make subs and bring on Guarnieri, bring back Zinchenko.
Sheffield United have beaten Oxford United by 3-0 as Guarnieri picks the ball up on that far side and he cuts into the penalty area on the right-hand side and delivers a cross, but it's a rather tame ball and it's saved by Israel, the goalkeeper. Sunderland 0, West Bromwich Albion is an 8 o'clock kickoff and is still a latest score. Wrexham have beaten Lincoln City by 1-0. And there's been a goal at Wycombe, Aaron Paul.
Wycombe Wanderers have won it at the death. Wycombe 1, Mansfield 0. Luke Leahy, I don't think he expected this to go in, but he's just side-footed across and it's dipped in over the goalkeeper, Christy Pym. Wycombe heading for 10 straight league wins, and they're going to sit top of League One tonight. Wycombe 1, Mansfield 0.
And also full-time at Bramall Lane, Chris Coles.
Sheffield United, as comfortable as the scoreline suggests. O'Hare and Campbell in the first half, Raksaki in the second. Could have been more. Oxford had a couple of bright moments, but overall the golfing quality far too great, meaning Sheffield United, given scores elsewhere, are heading to the top of the Championship. Sheffield United 3, Oxford 0.
Chris Wilder's side unbeaten in 6, 1 win in 12 for Oxford United. Leyton Orient 0, Huddersfield Town 2 is the latest score in League One. This is the Champions League on BBC Radio 5 Live and the BBC Sounds app. The travelling Arsenal supporters are now giving it the old olays as they string the ball together. Guarnieri finds Havertz. Saka is on the overlap on that right-hand side. Saka now cuts inside. Havertz going on ahead of him. Saka then passes the ball. This is to Moreno. Moreno inside the D, plays it just behind for Zinchenko. Keeps the ball though with Arsenal. Partey's forward ball. The referee gets in the way. That'll be an uncontested drop ball for Arsenal as the Arsenal supporters boo with the referee's intervention.
Oh, it was a shame that before that Moreno just played the ball behind Zinchenko. That was a really good move. They cut through the middle of the pitch. Great composure from Thomas Partey, releasing Nwaneri, and then they filtered it through, and it just needed one more pass because they did have the overload there, Arsenal. Just a sloppy one at the end prevented potentially the next goal.
Timber forward. This is a shooting opportunity for Moreno, spilled by the goalkeeper, nodded in by Trossard. Arsenal have equalled their biggest away win in the Champions League. They have dispatched the Portuguese champions 5-1. Trossard couldn't miss. It's a statement victory in Lisbon.
Yeah, outstanding again. I mean, it's a brilliant run from back to front. I think it was Timber, actually. He just picked the ball up in the right-back area and just drove right the way through before he eventually, once he found a bit of pressure, just passed it sideways to Moreno, who probably just outside the penalty area, turned and shot, just inside the D with his left foot. Kai Havertz actually does well to jump out the way of it. That probably did put the goalkeeper off slightly, but he just palmed it out right into the middle of the goal. And Arsenal had Trossard right on cue, just following it in like all good players should, just to nod it comfortably into the back of the goal.
Gabriel at the moment has gone down, and I think they were about to bring on Raheem Sterling, and then Mikel Arteta was forced to change it, and he actually apologised to Raheem Sterling because he was aware that Gabriel had gone down, and this is their third and final opportunity to make a change, bearing in mind they made a double change in the 70th minute and then another double change 8 minutes later.
Yeah, you'd certainly want that to be the situation. That, you know, if there is any issue with Gabriel, tell your manager before he makes that final substitution. Yeah, it's a shame for Raheem Sterling, but he'll understand it in that situation that the team comes first.
They beat Inter back in 2003 by 5-1. That's the scoreline that they've matched, so 21 years ago, and where Manchester City had floundered, Arsenal are sauntering. However, Manchester City, there's been another goal at home to Feyenoord, Conor McNamara.
Reports of Manchester City being back in business have been premature, Ian, because City's 3-0 lead is now back to 3-2. Off the bench, Santiago Jimenez has been able to scramble it in. 8 minutes of normal time remaining. What looked to be a comfortable final quarter of this game for Pep Guardiola has become really stressful again. City 3, Feyenoord 2.
Bragança has just shot wide. Walsall have salvaged a point with a 94th minute equaliser at home to Bromley. Walsall 2, Bromley 2. As we go to Hibs and Gavin Wallace.
And more late drama here as well. We did think it might have been all over for Hibs, but they pulled one back. Nicky Cadden on the far right hand side, Ian. It was a screamer of a free kick. It goes in well beyond Mitov, and Hibs may well have salvaged a point. Hibs 2, Aberdeen 2 with 2 minutes to go.
Bad few days for Aberdeen, 3 points adrift of Celtic at the start of play, and they looked on course to move level. Hibs with that precious equaliser for the bottom of the table side. Burnley have beaten Coventry 2-0, Stoke 0, Preston 0. So despite having Freddie Woodman sent off late on, they did manage to hold on. And full time at Wycombe in League One, Aaron Paul.
Wycombe 1, Mansfield 0. On 93rd minute, stunner from Luke Lee. He illuminated an otherwise turgid Naher Lee. He's side-footing, volleying the ball into the back of the net. Mansfield hugely unlucky. That's their third 1-0 loss in a row. But Wycombe now 4 points clear at the top, 10 wins on the bounce. Wycombe 1, Mansfield 0.
Arsenal are looking for more goals here, leading by 5-1. Mikel Arteta will be delighted the way that his side have applied themselves tonight. Zinchenko, Nwaneri on this near side, comes in field, square ball, and the ball scooped forward by Trossard, downward header. Arsenal try and win it back and succeed. Trossard, edge of the area, can't wriggle his way through. Another late goal. Gavin Wallace at Easter Road.
Oh my good Deno, late drama aplenty today. Aberdeen now may get the 3 points. Hibs 2, Aberdeen 3. Esther Stockler had been on for about 10-15 minutes. The ball whipped in. It was so poor defending from Hibernian, and all he had to do was send it home. Hibs 2, Aberdeen 3.
Gyökeres has just hit the post here with a strong run down the left-hand side, and we'll get news of that Burnley win at Turf Moor from Sunny.
Burnley 2, Coventry 0. Quick fire, Jeremy Sarmiento 2 to the second, woke everyone up. A cool finish from 10 yards, and CJ Egan-Riley's cross that floated in with 10 to go sealed it. Coventry's best offerings were offside. Burnley up to second, Burnley 2, Coventry City 0.
Has your opinion changed of Gyökeres in this second half?
I was just thinking then that's the first occasion where he's really had an opportunity to go up against somebody that isn't part of the best defensive partnership potentially in the Premier League. Yes, you can talk Liverpool have got great centre-half, but he's been up against Gabriel and Saliba, and he hasn't really had an opportunity. First time he got the chance to run Kiwior there, and he actually won the battle, won the duel, and was unlucky hitting the upright rather than finding the back of the goal. So, yeah, I think in that moment it may have just done.
Do you think he's a €100 million striker?
No, I don't know if I'd go that far. I think he showed a lot of moments. I think he showed, his ability to hold the ball up at times. But if you're talking 100 million, you're expecting him to have given Saliba and Gabriel a bit more of a difficult evening here at his home ground than he has done. They dominated him in every aspect of the game.
3 minutes to go. Gavin Wallace at the start of play said there'd be more drama at Easter Road, he promised us, than an episode of EastEnders. You weren't joking. Another late goal.
Honestly, the script writers at EastEnders couldn't even write this. Rocky Bushiri with literally, I think it'll be the last kick of the ball. The ball was whipped in. It was Keystone Cops defending from Aberdeen. Bushiri got there first and tapped home. Hibs 3, Aberdeen 3. Do not adjust your radio.
Why would you anyway, Gavin? Why would you? So Hibs 3, Aberdeen 3. Mateus Reis has just come on, and also there's going to be another change. João Simões coming on for what is a debut, a 17-year-old midfielder. So they've had a strong history of producing players through the academy, and João Simões is another one here for a Sporting side that are losing their club record unbeaten run. That's going to go tonight in some fashion. Their long unbeaten run of 13 months, when they've 30 games, is also going to be over, as Arsenal with a convincing 5-1 victory here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And it's Reis who replaces Inacio, and Simões has come on for Trincão, who Wolves fans will remember had that spell from Barcelona in 21-22, scored 3 goals in his 30 appearances, as he makes way as well for a Sporting side that has been put to the sword.
Yeah, in every aspect. I mean, we were listening before the game how good this Sporting team is and how outstanding they've been of late, and you talked about the record at home, the record this season. There's been a lot of excitement about this team, so I wouldn't judge them completely on this game with regards to quality comparative to the Premier League, but certainly an off night for them and an outstanding night for Arsenal. Brilliant performance in every aspect of the game. One sloppy little spell, but other than that, dominated Sporting.
Sporting have got Bruges away, Leipzig away, and Bologna at home on that final match night on January the 29th. So you would still think they would qualify for the knockout stages. It might be the playoffs, though, if they don't finish in the top 8. But Arsenal heading towards the top 8, certainly with home games to come against Monaco and then Dinamo Zagreb in January for their penultimate game. 5-1 they lead to Arsenal. Might not be finished yet either. Saka right-hand side, infield, Timber takes it in his stride. Back it goes. Waneri with a shot, saved by the goalkeeper. He was looking to beat Aaron Ramsey's record of their youngest goal scorer in European competition. And Israel made the save, as we are now into added on time, 2 minutes of additional time here in the Estadio Jose Alvalade. And if we don't bring you any reaction between now and 10:30, as Trossard takes it in the inside left channel, the penalty area and crosses, might come to the edge of the area. Harder is there. Hulmand and Sporting will clear. Then it will be on the 5 Live Football Daily podcast. We're through until 10:30 on 5 Live Sport tonight, and then Gordon Smart will be on BBC Radio 5 Live. But don't forget, tomorrow, Anfield, Liverpool, Real Madrid, Tottenham, Roma on Thursday. Now, it's been a night of late goals. Manchester City were leading Feyenoord 3-2. There has just been another goal. Conor McNamara.
It's happening again. The 89th minute at the Etihad, and Manchester City have thrown away a 3-goal lead. It is 3-3. Feyenoord getting an equaliser through David Hanko. Manchester City's defence has fallen apart in this second half. They were cruising. Pep Guardiola brought on Kevin De Bruyne for a run. He took off the likes of Gundogan and Aki to give them a rest. He thought this was done and dusted, that City's run of defeats was coming to an end, and that they were finally going to win a game to ease some pressure. But from 3-0 up, Feyenoord have turned it around. It is 3-3, and we're about to go into stoppages now. An incredible end to the game.
And certainly another incredible end at Easter Road. Gavin Wallace.
Absolute madness in the capital in the last 5 minutes. It saw 3 goals from the likes of Bashiri, Sokla and Cadden's worthy of a free kick as Newell opened up on 40, McGrath levelled on 55. Hibs desperately needed that point. Aberdeen now 2 points behind Celtic. Hibs 3, Aberdeen 3.
The results in League 2, Tranmere 0, Wimbledon 2, Walsall 2, Bromley 2. The results in League 1, Cambridge 1, Bolton 1, Exeter 0, Birmingham 2. Wycombe beat Mansfield by a goal to 0. Barnsley 2, Reading 2. I thought I just swallowed that fly you tried swatting earlier on. Bristol Rovers 0, Blackpool 2. Burton Albion 0, Charlton 1, Leyton Orient 0, Huddersfield 2, Wigan 2, Northampton 1. Wrexham beat Lincoln City by a goal to 0. In the Championship, of course, they're still playing at Sunderland 0-0 against West Bromwich Albion. Here is a race with a left-footed shot charged down. Saka might break now. He's got Trossard away if he can switch play. Saka hits it up towards Trossard. That was a nice touch. Tries to hold off his challenger. Here is Trossard in the penalty area, and then he presents the ball back to the Sporting defender as there is the full-time whistle. I'll just quickly tell you the final scores of the Championship. Burnley 2, Coventry 0, Hull 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Norwich 6, Plymouth 1, Sheffield United 3, Oxford 0, Stoke 0, Preston 0, Watford 1, Bristol City 0. But here in Lisbon, Arsenal have beaten Sporting 5 goals to 1. You'll hear from Leon Osman very, very soon. A statement win for Arsenal, their joint biggest win away from home in the Champions League. But let's cross to the Etihad and Conor McNamara.
Still playing in stoppages, 3-3 after Manchester City were 3-0 up earlier on in the day. Feyenoord have come back with a remarkable turnaround, but Manchester City will be looking with such scrutinous eyes on their defensive lapses in this second half. Jack Grealish has just hit the frame of the goal with an attempt from distance after the equaliser for 3-3, so close to restoring City's lead. The boos in the background are because one of the Feyenoord players has gone down injured. The City fans feel that he is wasting time as City tried to scramble here and score in the 5 minutes that have been added on for stoppages. We've already played 2 of them. Getting to see replays again of Grealish's shot, cutting in off the left wing, right-footed effort from just inside the penalty area. It took a deflection off a defender which guided it away from the goalkeeper towards the top corner, but unfortunately from a Manchester City point of view it comes back off the frame of the goal. So the story of the match here, City early stages, loads of chances but couldn't score. Then the breakthrough just before half time, the ball was a penalty for Erling Haaland. He put it home and Manchester City were on their way. They started to stretch their legs. Gundogan early in the second half, after a quarter spilled to him inside the penalty area, drilled it low through a forest of legs for 2-0. Haaland was to get his second of the night, City's third goal after a Mateus Nunes break down the right hand side, a really good cross which Haaland slid in to score. The celebratory mood after the run of 5 defeats in a row, City fans feeling that finally the tide was turning for them, but they hadn't banked on what Feyenoord have had up their sleeve, and it's now back to 3-3 as City come on the attack. Bernardo Silva down the right hand side sends in a low cross, needed to be better than that, and it's cleared away, hacked away by Igor Pashko. No great distance on that, straight up into the air, so it's controlled down on the deck again by Jemai Simpson-Pusi, young defender who's been brought on here when City were cruising 3-0 up. He didn't think that he'd be called into much serious action, but boy has he, as Bernardo Silva gives it away on the far side. But anyway will do as Feyenoord just bang it away and clear it all the way to Ederson, away to our right hand side. Ederson wearing bright orange. 3.5 minutes have been played of the 5 to be added on for stoppages. This is 5 Live from the BBC. Arsenal have won in Lisbon tonight. Are Manchester City going to drop more points in Europe, and confidence points that will be dropped ahead of Sunday's enormous trip to Anfield, arguably the biggest game of this season so far? City were hoping to go there in confidence after a win here, but they'll be demoralised having thrown away the 3-0 advantage for 3-3 now. McAtee has it on the far side, another of the substitutes, gives it to Bernardo Silva, low ball to the D of the penalty area where Jack Grealish controls. Mateus Nunes is behind him. Feyenoord have brought all 11 players back behind the ball to defend this. City in sky blue through. Feyenoord all in black. Mateus Nunes 10 yards outside the penalty area to the right wing. Bernardo Silva, couple of touches to control it. Then he guides his way closer to the corner angle of the box. Tries to play a 1-2 with Kevin De Bruyne. That doesn't come off. The Belgians able to hold on to possession. Whistles in the night air from the travelling Dutch fans away to our right hand side. City attacking the goal away to our left. It's rolled by De Bruyne towards the feet of Haaland, but he can't control. And Feyenoord, hoping to hold on for a big point here, are able to clear the ball away. Feyenoord, who's won their last 2 away games in the Champions League this season. This will feel like a win for them, having come from 3-0 down. Cross from Mateus Nunes into the centre is hooked away by Hadj Moussa, the scorer of the second goal tonight for Feyenoord in their remarkable Champions League comeback. This doesn't happen very often. There was a game, Arsenal against Anderlecht, a decade ago, when Arsenal were 3 goals up and it ended up 3-3. Back in 2017, Liverpool went 3-0 up against Sevilla in the Champions League, and that finished 3-3. But this would be a real rarity. It's not over yet. Guardiol to the byline on the left-hand side, hangs it in. Haaland got up too high. He was on his way down again as the ball flashed over his head. Feyenoord tried to clear it away. Looks like a handball off Mateus Nunes. The referee says play on, and it's with Hadj Moussa again on the right-hand side. He plays a little 1-2, gets possession back again. Feyenoord just need game management now, some steady heads. We've played over the 5 minutes that were due to be handed on. Feyenoord drill it long down the left wing. Rico Lewis tries to make a challenge. Another Feyenoord player goes down injured. More whistles. The ball is still in play. It's not a head injury, so the referee doesn't have to hold it up. Manchester City 3, Feyenoord 3. Deep in stoppage time at the Etihad, and in fact that is it. Manchester City do not return to winning ways. A remarkable second half here, in which Manchester City, we saw them at their best and we saw them at their worst, and puzzled looks from Pep Guardiola as he walks onto the field. But Manchester City are going to go to Anfield with that cloud still lingering over their heads. 2 goals for Haaland tonight, another from Gundogan, but it's not been enough. City 3, Feyenoord 3. What a comeback from the Dutch.
Conor McNamara at the Etihad. We're also joined by Andros Townsend. Andros, this looked like City were back, but as Conor said, reports were a little premature.
Yeah, I'm lost for words. It looked like City were back. They were cruising. They were 3 goals ahead. Wasn't vintage City, but they did what they needed to do. And then I think the first goal was the comical defensive error from Guardiol, which allowed Feyenoord back into the game. And then what happened then? They just capitulated. Second one, Guardiol gave the ball away. Third one in the 90th minute, a ridiculous high line. There's no need to play a high line when you're 1 minute away from your first win in 6. And all that hard work is undone, and now the pressure mounts even more ahead of the game on the weekend.
I'm just watching the Feyenoord coach making his way off the pitch and making his way onto the pitch rather, and just saying, wow. He cannot believe what's just happened, because his team have come from 3-0 down to draw 3-3 against Manchester City at the Etihad. Conor, Andros alluded to it there. City very much architects of their own downfall here. All 3 goals, errors. Guardiol, for the first 2, not just Guardiol, but Guardiol definitely involved in the first 2. And then Ederson just coming running out of his goal for the third goal.
It's poor decision making. They look short on confidence, which is remarkable when you consider you're in a game in the Champions League where you're 3-0 up at home. If you're not going to be confident in those positions, but Manchester City looked uncertain. Cats on a hot tin roof. Uncertain touches on the edge of their own penalty area. Bad decision making, as you mentioned, with Ederson rushing out. And as soon as that first Feyenoord goal went in, we all know, that this team is fallible. This team has lost their previous 5 games in a row, and Feyenoord said, well, come on, let's rattle them now, let's get in behind them. And that sort of veneer of invincibility which Pep Guardiola's teams for decades have possessed, that is not there for this Manchester City team. They look fragile, they look beatable. This game is finished as a draw, but make no mistake, in that Manchester City dressing room, it's going to feel like a big bruising defeat.
And Pep Guardiola was asked before the game, Andros, off the back of 5 straight defeats, whether or not he would think about making changes, starting to switch things up at Manchester City. And he pointed to the fact that he's a serial trophy winner at City, which is entirely fair. But I'm not sure what a manager is supposed to do when there are individual errors like the ones that were made by the City defence and goalkeeper.
Yeah, and I think he has made changes. He's dropped Carl Walker. He brought Rico Lewis in tonight. Núñez came in, who looked to freshen up the midfield, looked to give them a bit legs that they lacked in the last few games. But Jack Grealish came in for the direct threat down the left-hand side. But again, it doesn't seem to have worked. It looked like it was working for large parts of the game, but again, they've been undone, and the wait goes on for a win.
Andros, for now, thank you very much. Andros Townsend, Conor McNamara will bring us more on that game from Manchester City, that 3-3 draw at home to Feyenoord, from a 3-0 winning position for City to just a point at home. Reaction to that, and you have to feel a bit for Arsenal, because on any other night, their 5-1 win against Sporting in Lisbon would be by far the biggest talking point. Leon Osman was watching it happen. It was a commanding performance from Arsenal, a real statement performance and a statement result, Leon.
Yeah, I mean, it justifies being talked about, certainly in glowing references. It's arguably their best performance of the season. There was complete dominance. There was real purpose right from the first whistle. They took the game to Sporting here, where they've got such an incredible record, hadn't lost for 13 months, took the game to them, took hold of the ball, stopped them playing right out from the back, and were rewarded with some brilliant goals. It could have been more at half-time than the 3. They did have that sloppy moment at the start of the second half, but then had the authority to rescue the situation back and go on and score more, and in the end they could have ended up with 6 or 7.
It's incredible the difference that Martin Ødegaard makes to them. And I know no other players have come back to fitness. I know they've had a couple of players missing through injury, but he seems to just knit it all together for Arsenal.
Yeah, he's the captain, but he's also the key component to how Arsenal set up. You've seen what they were like without him, and you see the difference when he's in the team. All the attacks go through him. He raises the tempo. If Arsenal slow the game down, he's the one pulling the strings. If Arsenal find some spaces to play in, he's, for the majority, over on that side of the pitch, maybe working with Saka, or on the other side of the pitch, being an integral part of what he does, more often than not even threading the through passes that either directly create the goal or certainly, you know, an assist for an assist for all the time. He's a leader, he's the voice, and you can see the difference definitely that he makes, and Mikel Arteta is delighted to get him. I brought him off near the end. He looked a little bit weary, and you want to protect him.
Absolutely, they'll want to protect him. They've got a huge run of games now coming up before the next international break, and Mikel Arteta wanted Arsenal to build momentum ahead of that. They've absolutely done that in Lisbon this evening. We'll have lots more from Leon Osman and Ian Dennis between now and 10:30. We'll be reflecting on the shockwaves coming out of the Etihad, where Manchester City threw away a 3-goal lead to draw 3-3 at home to Feyenoord. We're going to just round up the rest of the results elsewhere. In the Championship, it's full time in the game between Sunderland and West Brom. Adam Cottier.
The Championship draw specialists at the moment have drawn